All right, hey everybody. It's Thursday, 10 Eastern. Well, what is it? 10:04 Eastern, 7:04 Pacific, and we are live with the reformers, and we have a lot to talk about, so we're just gonna get right into it.
Oh
Go
my
ahead.
God.
Yeah.
What a mess. What a mess. It feels appropriate that that Cyclospora is still rampant in this country because that's what it feels like, a giant case of explosive diarrhea. And apparently now it's pretty much everywhere because they've said it's expanded to 45 states, but our data from the federal government is not great. In fact, from the beginning of all of this, if you've been following socials, the investigators on Threads and Twitter have outed and figured out where the outbreaks were before the government has. So at this point, I would estimate that the numbers are much larger than just 18,000 cases. And I saw online somewhere, and I cannot confirm this because it was just somebody saying hearsay, that their friend had passed away from it. And
Oh,
likely the
really?
government.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, and so likely it will be reported as dehydration or anything that we would see. That's what they did with COVID initially, if you recall. They did that because, of course, like, it's not that technically that kills you, it's all the side effects that come along with it, and so
Right.
that's how they're going to classify it to get around with it. So I can't confirm that, but I've seen that, and that makes sense to me because they've said that this is really harmful to people who are immunocompromised, the elderly, like younger children, because you can't stay hydrated. So just to reiterate, the lettuce, cilantro, and I think I don't know. It's in pretty much anything you can't cook.
Just
At
don't
this
do
point.
bad lettuce for sure, and wash
Don't
all
do
your greens.
right.
I know someone. I got sick the other day, like this kind of sick, not the other kind of sick. And so I wasn't worried about that, but I was telling someone about it, and they're like, "Oh, I ate a bag of greens. I made a salad with the recalled lettuce." They didn't find out it was
No.
recalled, and this was like a couple of days ago. I was like, "It takes up to 2 weeks to
Yeah.
manifest," and he was just like, "Oh fuck," you know. But so evidently, not everyone has heard about this.
Yes. And
So,
I
if
saw
at all
people buying
possible,
back
cook your
salad
food.
last night. Yes, cook your
Yeah, I
food.
just can't. I'm so tired of cooked,
I know.
grilled steamed vegetables.
with you.
We do it, but it's like I've never made salad so much, so we've been having salads. So, um,
If you can go to a farmer's market, if you can buy your lettuce from somebody that grows their lettuce, then you're fine. The problem is that it's typically when we're seeing shortcuts due to lack of regulation through the government, and also like the immigration reform or terrorism, depending on what side of the aisle you're on, has made it so that a lot of these farmers can't find the laborers that they used to have in order to produce things. So they're having to pay people more, or they have less workers, and they're not giving them the necessary supports, restrooms, things like that. And that's also how we're seeing some of this. I guess that's why you see cases every year. They're just usually much smaller than this, and clearly this is linked back to a much bigger outbreak somewhere in the supply chain. Anyway, this is what we're saying about all this is what happens when you don't have regulations in place to keep you safe with your food. That is the purpose of the government. We keep talking about this. It's not just to protect you from wars, it's also to protect you from domestic threats like these kinds of foodborne pathogens that can be avoided, right, with proper regulations in place to make sure that people are washing their hands or the right kind of water is being used to clean the lettuce. And anyway, so steer clear of bagged lettuce, buy your
and
lettuce from local farmers,
And I
clean, take
I
out.
put in the chat a recommendation. I'm not getting paid. It's not really a plug. But Gotham
Oh yeah.
greens, they can be found at Whole Foods. But you have see the problem with what's the name of the company that is the problem?
So Taylor Farms
Taylor Farms. They
was
do
the
private label, so it may not
right.
say Taylor Farms. So just avoid the bag. Gotham greens comes in a box and it says it's greenhouse raised. And there are other greenhouse raised greens. Still wash them, still do all those things, but those are
Right.
safe in theory, you know.
Right, and mindful of the fact that Taylor Farms paid the Republicans a crap ton of money, and suddenly it was a false positive, and they weren't the source, even though the internet has already proven that they were. So,
$1 million to his pack.
that's right. So just know that That's all. There's different names. It's not just Taylor Farms. It's going to be called something different at Walmart. We shared this out last week on our live. So if you want to go, I think it's on the live last week. It's also, we have threads all over the internet. You can look up what the names are for each supplier. So, sorry, Adam, what were you going to say?
Well, first, I think we upset Michelle's puppies. So, if you heard
It
that,
sounds like a
that in the
full-grown
back,
dog to me. It doesn't sound
I know.
Yeah.
as my wife and daughter would tell you,
Sorry about
they're
that.
all puppies.
No, I love it.
Okay, so
but
let's
folks,
pivot.
okay, let's pivot, Chris.
I was going to say, let's move on to Fauci.
I didn't want to cut
We
off
got a
Adam.
lot of stuff to cover.
But yeah, so here we go to Fauci, because once again, here is a public health failing that is the responsibility of the Trump administration, because as we all remember, in 2020, Trump was president. He was the president that oversaw COVID, the beginnings of COVID, the vaccine, the whole shebang, right? Like how we sheltered, how we didn't stay home, like how everything was done. He was the one in control. And Fauci has become a scapegoat for the Republicans, because there is a big sect of MAGA that, as you know, doesn't even believe COVID is real. They think that it's some sort of government made up thing that doesn't really exist, or if it does exist, it's because of the government, and it's not Trump that did it, it's Fauci that did it. And that is obviously certifiably untrue. It's just crazy talk. But he's a great scapegoat for them. Unfortunately for them, we have facts, and we understand that not only was Fauci not president, not only was Dr. Fauci not president, he wasn't writing policy. Like, he wasn't making the laws. That's what Congress does. So once again, he was giving medical advice and trying to keep us all safe. And instead of treating him as the hero that he is, they've made him come forward in front of Congress and berate him aggressively.
We have some clips here. Let's watch so first of all, the initial, when the hearing first opened, the news was, oh, he pleads the fifth, which was really the right thing to do, right? Because they're gonna use this against him no matter what. He didn't need to give them shit. But then this was the big news.
Do you think you were for doing that? Your advice to communities like that, to idiotic politicians who enforce those rules, arrested that mom for watching a football game with her own family outside. When that story broke, I said to myself, I cannot stand idly on the side and watch this happen. It was about 6 years ago today that I decided I'm going to give up my businesses, sell them all, run for office, run for the United States Senate. Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people. I will make it my mission to make certain that every single one of those Democrats who did that will see that clip over and over.
Okay, so we don't have to play the whole thing, but that is a disgrace. Like, that is, I mean, I'll drop some F-bombs all day long, but in a Senate hearing, is this Bernie Moreno from Ohio?
Yes.
Yeah, so I have a whole video on him. If anybody's interested, I just posted it yesterday. If you want to go read on the backstory of how he's been really silent on the abuse that his daughter has faced at the hands of Representative Max Miller, who's actually going to be undergoing an investigation now. It's gotten that bad. Even though the Republicans are pretty mute on it, like they're not saying anything, she accused him of throwing scalding hot water on her. And their 2-year-old was also injured, I think had a collarbone fracture. So it sounds pretty heinous, but he's been not a whisper of condemnation for that. Meanwhile, he has all these complaints for Dr. Fauci, who's, by the way, been in public service since 1984. This man was around
for AIDS, the AIDS epidemic.
Reagan didn't listen to him during the AIDS crisis, and they also made that political as well, and lots of people died because of it. And it became a much more rampant epidemic than it might have been if they actually supported him and what he wanted to do, and other people in the medical community that had, apolitical ideals. But as we know, the Republicans want to make everything political and the way that they say we do. So this is to the detriment of our health and our public health system, unfortunately. And Dr. Fauci will be remembered as a public servant, but he is a comfortable scapegoat for the Republicans and their agenda. If they can make him look like the evil person, then maybe we won't talk about the failings of this administration and the fact that they are, in fact, enlarging their bank accounts using our tax dollars, using our government, using our system to make themselves and corporations richer, while we all struggle. And,
would now be a good time too to talk about how many congresspersons, representatives, senators invested in the pharmaceutical company before this all happened?
Please do.
Trump did his little Operation Warp Speed. Yeah, I'm blown away, and the whole little theatrical performance of Marino is really disturbing to me. I've read Fauci's book. It's amazing. He talks about what he did during the AIDS epidemic. And let's just say, I know folks who passed away back in the day. There were a lot of people that were lost. It was unbelievably out of control. And he was the person, he was the reason that people started to care about it and did something and made a difference. In the gay community. So
100%.
This is just part two. It's part two.
Moreno also, I don't know if you guys remember a couple weeks ago when the Canada wildfires were going, he also wanted to sanction Canada for that. The people that came and flew water over to help us when we had wildfires, they wanted to he was aggressively going after Canada, even though it's our environmental policies that have likely caused a lot of this, right? So there's that, but also a story broke today, I believe, or late yesterday, that some of Dr. Fauci's private diaries that were released showed that Katie Miller, wife of Stephen Miller, had called him a lot, calling Dr. Fauci for help and medical advice and assurances because she had a COVID pregnancy.
It's all a scam.
And she was freaking out. And he apparently talked her down off a cliff. Like, she had a panic attack on the phone with him. Like, he documents this in his diary. And so now, a bit after when COVID, is still going on, but now Trump's not in office anymore. Now suddenly Katie Miller wants the guy that she used to call in confidence and talk to and get medical advice from. She wants him to go to jail. And I would like to point this out because I know that there's a lot of people here that are watching that are either healthcare providers or teachers or people that had to go into offices, that had to physically go places and be in places during the pandemic. And as a mom who had a newborn, and really, really worried because we didn't know what it would do to babies at that point, I'd like to say a big fuck you to Katie Miller, because once again, here we have Republicans taking advantage. Can you imagine if you had Dr. Fauci on the phone in the middle of COVID and you could call and ease your anxieties, and then to turn around and use him as a political scapegoat, as a way to sell your propaganda? That's one of the most vile things I've ever heard. And I know that we keep saying the bar is in hell, but somehow they keep finding a way to make it lower than that. And she said today that only narcissistic men have journals, like Fauci, Dr. Fauci. So anyway, that's...
So what's his face? Levin on TMZ. He did a monologue on it, or whatever you want to say. Should we play that?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
I have not used TMZ's YouTube channel to vent personal feelings about issues, but I'm going to do that today. Watching Anthony Fauci before a congressional hearing taking the Fifth Amendment is just one of the most heartbreaking things I have seen in government in my lifetime. And this is something we need to reckon with. That I'm going to say up front, I have problems the way the CDC handled COVID. I think that they did damage to children, to adults, and I don't think they did it maliciously. I think they did it because they were using their judgment and were overprotective, and I think at times overstated things they said they knew but really didn't. And I have personal problems with the way that COVID was handled. That said, Anthony Fauci, over a period of decades, has been an amazing public servant. In the 80s, I had many friends who died of AIDS, a horrible, painful death. And I had friends who lived because of Anthony Fauci, because he was willing to look at experimental drugs in a different way than they had looked at them before. And that really resulted in lives saved. And he has done so many other things in his career to thwart epidemics, to save lives, not just in the United States, but all over the world. He has been a dedicated public servant who could have made a lot more money outside of government than inside, but he stayed. And now we are at a point where members of Congress, and yes, you, Rand Paul, are on a witch hunt. And the best I can say for Rand Paul is that he's being really honest. I mean, he has said now over a period of years, he wants Anthony Fauci in a jail cell. He has said it out loud. He wants him in a jail cell. That's the point of this hearing. That's why they're doing this. They want to take something that Anthony Fauci says and then claim it amounts to perjury, and they want to prosecute him, they want to convict him, and they want to throw him in prison. That's the point of this hearing. There is no other point of this hearing. There could be. I mean, there are things they could certainly ask him, but he can't answer. Because if he answers, it doesn't matter what he says. You know, if you can prosecute somebody for frickin' seashells on the beach shore, then you could certainly prosecute somebody for what they say in a congressional hearing. And that's the climate we're in. We are in a Senator Joseph McCarthy climate where there is such fear that people have, and legitimate fear, that they'll end up in prison for what they say, no matter what it is, if they are on the wrong side of somebody in Congress or the administration, that they have been silenced. And that's where we are right now. We are in Senator Joseph McCarthy territory. And the idea that you have to watch this man take the Fifth Amendment, and again, I will say that I disagreed personally with some of the CDC decisions. Absolutely, I did. That said, he's a public servant who worked for us and saved lives for decades. And we are turning him into what Rand Paul wants to be, a criminal. And Rand Paul has a political agenda, and it is prevailing here. Watching Rand Paul order security to throw Anthony Fauci's lawyer out of that hearing was unbelievable to me. We are in a dark period of America.
Let's kind of review here, right? It wasn't Anthony Fauci that tried to stop testing because testing would reveal cases. It wasn't Anthony Fauci that fired the pandemic team. It wasn't Anthony Fauci that didn't have the proper medical equipment to give to states. It wasn't Anthony Fauci that said that we should try to shine light into people's bodies to get rid of the disease. It wasn't Anthony Fauci that was making the decisions as to whether people should wear masks or should not go out into public or anything of that nature. It wasn't Anthony Fauci that was racist, blaming China for a disease that may well have been completely out of their control. Anthony Fauci did none of these things and did none of the other various dozens of things that Donald Trump did and didn't do to completely exacerbate this disease, which is why the United States among developed nations was by far the worst and had the worst
100%.
results. The most people die. This is
That's
not
what I was
Anthony
thinking when he
Fauci's
was
fault.
saying, "Oh, I have real problems with the way it was handled." I mean, the problems you
Then you
have
have
are
problems
under
with Trump.
Trump. Biden
Right.
did so much
Yeah.
to fix this.
So the CDC is under the president's watch. So like even if somebody at the CDC makes decisions, that's the president's responsibility, right? Like which in this
Correct.
case he wasn't even necessarily doing that. He's just giving recommendations based on medical science. And whether or not you wanted to implement them, that's your choice as the president. That's your, like, you still are the one running the show. And this is where they want to deflect all that attention from. I'd like to also point out that TMZ is heavily, heavily MAGA. They are very pro-Republican. And normally I would not show anything from them. But I wanted to point out that even like an entity that usually highlights Republicans in a very favorable way is saying this is the way that they're treating this man is just absolutely vile and unacceptable. And so it's there is a bipartisan support for Dr. Fauci. It's just not MAGA, right? Like the far right MAGA crowd that doesn't even think COVID is real or thinks it's manufactured. They want to vilify him because then it means that maybe Trump won't be vilified. But we all know that history is going to remember the truth, which is
We have people in the
Harvey-
Senate, and we're on Fox all over the place yesterday, that were saying that the injuries from the vaccine, the alleged injuries, which are frankly non-existent. I mean,
Right.
yes, of course, there's always some adverse reaction, but it's statistically really not relevant. They were saying that was somehow worse than COVID. I mean, Ron Johnson.
well,
Jesus.
he wanted
Right.
to put bleach. He wanted us to like put bleach in our veins. So like,
Well,
like,
you guys-
obviously we don't
We're
live.
gonna
One of
move
the
on.
other things I just want to say really fast what Harvey said though. Like I appreciate him speaking out, but I have to push back on when he first started to saying, you know, I have problems with what the CDC did. I don't because I have friends who were in the teaching community who passed away. My best friend who I worked with, who we worked in behavioral ed and you know worked in the classrooms, her brother was one of the first people to be literally locked on a cruise ship and was the first person to die in Marin County in our area. Okay. So no, I don't think, you know, my daughter was a teacher in the classrooms and what she saw, like, I don't think
They underreacted.
I think they underreact.
In
Well,
my opinion.
and I just want to say he knew back in like November and did nothing about it until March. So that's on him. That's absolutely 100% on Trump.
Yep.
And I think the thing that has to, you know, the miscalculation, I'll put it this way, the miscalculation on Republicans' part, MAGA's part, is that most people were touched by this. Most people have, like Michelle, you have friends. I have a friend that passed away, friends that got sick. I got COVID. It was not a conspiracy. Like it was real. And I never, ever thought Fauci, I think most people in their right mind never would blame him for this. Like we heard misinformation from Trump, and that's the truth. So we're going to move on to Flock. I'm going to put in the chat some information about it, if it will go. Maybe it won't go. And then we'll watch a video. Oops.
I made a video with the flock of seagulls. Exactly.
Yeah. So Michelle's going to talk about this, but we'll watch this clip first.
Engineer in Suffolk, Virginia, was recently arrested for destroying over a dozen Flock cameras, tearing them down from their poles.
Just real quick, does everybody know what Flock is? So if you don't, they are cameras that are taking photos of your license plates. My understanding is that they're stored for at least 30 days. They may be longer. And they're doing them in neighborhoods, on streets, but also in neighborhoods. And it is, I guess, in theory to catch illegal activity. So we'll continue with the video.
With hand tools. He pled not guilty, stating that flock cameras are unconstitutional and a direct violation of our Fourth Amendment rights. There are currently 80,000 to 100,000 of these flock cameras currently active over 49 states, 5,000 communities targeting major highways, interstates, and public crossroads. They are capturing more than 20 billion vehicle tracking scans every single month. They are feeding that data into a centralized private database using AI to catalog a permanent fingerprint of your car, dents and stickers included, tracking your location without a warrant. Billionaire venture capital funds have pumped nearly $950 million into this company. Andreessen Horowitz is backing this through a specific fund dedicated to blending commercial tech with national defense. This framework collapses the line between local policing and military-grade tracking. Another billionaire involved is Peter Thiel. Through his founder's firm, the exact same guy who built Palantir, heavily utilized by the CIA and IDF, this creates a direct pipeline where your everyday interstate travel can be fed into a massive national predictive policing database without a warrant. The AI now builds a permanent identity profile for your car. It logs the color, the make, the model, the roof racks, pre-existing damage, and even bumper stickers. They sell subscriptions directly to your HOA and big box retailers. Your community didn't have to vote on this tracking network. Private entities bought it, and by default, that data feeds straight into law enforcement networks. And because this network is nationwide, your location data doesn't stay local. Federal agencies can pull your data without a warrant, and states are already using it to track citizens across state lines. And this isn't about safety. It's a privatized multi-billion-dollar surveillance state being built and dodging the U.S. Constitution.
All right, Michelle.
Yeah,
all
so
yours.
she did a really great job of kind of, just summarizing all of the key talking points around it. That map you see right there, so she was saying there's approximately, 80 to 100,000. There's close to 130,000 now. And if you can look at that map and you see all those dots, I want everyone to imagine that every single dot has the ability to connect to every single other dot, okay? So they're like, oh, it's our local community. It's our local neighborhood. So what they're doing is they're leasing the services to neighborhoods. So somebody might be like, oh yeah, I want to protect my home and whatever. Guess what? Our national, the Department of Homeland Security has access to that camera, to the flock cameras. So there's been a lot of pushback. And what is happening is people are saying, well, we don't want this in our neighborhood, right? So I want people to pay attention because they are doing this. They're just doing sort of a bait and switch, right? Where they're saying, okay, we don't want flocks in our neighborhood. We're going to cancel the contract. Okay. That doesn't mean that flock still doesn't have access. Okay. So I want to touch on the fact that California and Virginia both have laws against ICE and DHS gaining access, okay, to our flock systems. But here's the thing.
Just say that
they
that's
still
new?
do it.
That's new based on
Yes,
because
but they're
Young
still
Kid
doing
was really
it.
into that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, they've been caught. They're still doing it. They're still. It doesn't matter if there's a law or not. I think there's
The law
a lawsuit
enforcement
that
were
just-
already doing it before, and so they're still doing the practice.
Yes,
There's
and
not
so
enough
So-
oversight.
When you see these
There's
cameras,
extreme
it's
abuse.
not to be confused with the speeding or the red light
Right.
cameras. These are usually the ones I've seen are like smaller and they're at different signals, but they're not the ticketing kind.
Correct. And so what is happening though is there has been a huge abuse of these systems by law enforcement for personal use, for stalking, for one of the things that's happening also is they're saying, oh, it only stays on record for 30 days. There are places that actually have contracts up to 180 days. And if sometimes, depends on your area, sometimes longer. So there's been conversations around like LA, that LA is saying, no, we're not going to, we're dropping flock. Technically, that's not what's happening. Their 3-year contract expired like July 11th or something. I think it was July 11th. But they are renegotiating and trying to sort of hold on to it. So the next thing that's happening that I really want to bring up and want people to realize is that the folks who are complaining about flock and they're saying, oh, well, we don't want it. The municipalities are saying, okay, fine. So what they're doing though, is they're replacing it with Axon. Okay. Axon is worse. Okay. It's also the company that Trump invested in 2 to 3 days before he gave them a $200 million contract for, I believe it was, I don't know, stun guns or cameras. I can't remember what it was. Police cameras. So he's benefiting. He is absolutely 100% financially benefiting from this. The scariest thing about all of this, though, is that Axon has ties to other foreign. In that video, she talked about IDF. There is a connection with Axon to a former Israel prime minister, Epstein, and Blackwater. So this stuff is deep, you guys. I can't touch on all of it tonight, but the last thing I want to say. The last thing I want to say about the fact that our Fourth Amendment is literally being just attacked right now with this, because they're finding all these little weird loopholes, right?
Which they love to make for law enforcement, let's be honest.
Right?
Like they do.
The thing that I just want to kind of end with tonight about this is that flock also, I have to tie it in. Flock requires, because I've gotten a lot of pushback from people when I post about it, where they go, oh, it's just a camera. It's just no. They're saving all of this data. Guess where they have to save it? In a data center. And they are the biggest data centers. They're located. I can't find an address.
Well, this is AI
it's
doing
security, right?
Yeah.
It's government security, but yes, and so it's being managed by an AI system. So, with that being said, I was able to track it to a couple states. So Oregon, Washington, and guess where? Virginia.
Yeah,
hey.
Data center capital of the world.
So
that's crazy.
And it's being hosted by, I don't know if anyone wants to take a guess, Amazon.
Yeah.
The AI data centers are being hosted by Amazon.
As we transition into the White House Correspondents' Dinner, this is just a good rule of thumb for everybody to remember. When we say money is the root of all evil, like that's not just a saying. That's intentional, and it should be applied to everything this administration is doing. So anytime they get up and say something or make policy or feel really strongly about any kind of issue, they probably have bought stock in it. They have some kind of personal connection or investment to it, and that's why they're all making profits. If they're not making profits, their friends are making profits, who are then going to buy back into something else that they own. Like that's how this incest is happening.
Yeah, but let's be really clear too. This is like data centers. This is one of those things that Republicans literally hate the most, right? Is their privacy being
well, that's what I was thinking.
Upon.
Like this whole thing
so
is like
this is a bipartisan problem. Yeah. So
all right, so we're going to move on to the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and that I had forgotten. I don't know about you guys, but I forgot that we were having another one.
I forgot that, and I forgot that it happened after I saw it. I was like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, so this was still from the first one where Trump was allegedly they attempted to shoot him or whatever. But I have this clip, and I think this sets it up pretty nicely because there's some information here. And let's just say Trump is kind of a one-off, or unique.
Some new security measures after a gunman stormed the ballroom during April's dinner in an attempt to take the president's life. The threat environment is up 40% year over year, with 10,000 threat investigations since January. Since 2024, there have been 6 attempts or planned attempts on the president's life, including that shooting in Butler, Pennsylvania, the Iranian murder for hire plot, the attempt on his life in West Palm Beach, of course, the correspondents' dinner in April, the UFC.
So I'm just pausing for a second. There are 6 attempts, and we're a year and a half in now. In fairness, one of these was before he was inaugurated, but I think he's the one of a kind there. Like I don't remember any other president getting this many attempts. I could totally be wrong, but this is
not that was reported anyway.
Yeah,
like, not that they
freedom
told
to
us.
Yeah.
50 plot and the Iranian assassination plot that was uncovered this month. Back in April, the Secret Service officer Victor Gonzalez took a bullet to the vest when the gunman Cole Allen stormed the checkpoint carrying a pump-action shotgun, a handgun, 2 knives, 4 daggers, and ammunition. Tonight, Officer Gonzalez will be recognized for his bravery and his service. He's receiving an award from the WHCA. Also attending the dinner tonight alongside the president, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt, Acting Attorney General Todd Blanche, FBI Director Kash Patel, Education Secretary Linda McMahon, Interior Secretary Doug Burgum.
Okay, we don't have to watch the rest, but there was a couple moments during this that I think one of them was when he was praising Caitlyn. Not really, but here.
Collins.
Oh my God.
On receiving her award. It was all about me. It's a fake. She shouldn't get the award. It was a fake, but I didn't mind. I said, Caitlyn, congratulations. But it was fake. There's no question about it. But she's a young, attractive woman. She never smiles. I said, Caitlyn, do you ever smile? Smile. You have a nice position. You're at CNN Fake News. You should be a happy person. So smile, Caitlyn. Just smile. But we attack, and I thought Caitlyn had really made it big with a major new sponsorship. But then I informed her that it wasn't her on the Bud Light can. It was Dylan Mulvaney. And Dylan Mulvaney cost Bud Light $35 billion in market cap. That was the worst commercial ever made, by the way, for those few people that want to hear that. Most people don't care, but I would. I wouldn't want to hire Dylan anytime soon.
Just rambling on, so we can stop there. But I mean, he's berating her, insulting her. She's there to get an award. A lot of people were like, where do you guys come out on this? Because a lot of people are like, why are you going to this?
I said that this was the most work he's ever done to make the leap from Caitlyn Collins to hating trans people. That was like a really big stretch to get there. But that's what it looked like he wanted to do. I also think that he was trying to suggest that she looked like she might have been like a trans woman, right? Because again, they think it's a dig. They love being transphobic. So they love trying to say that women look like men, or like that women who look like men are a bad thing. Like they have such a problem with androgyny.
Maybe he's confused with Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know.
I mean, I'm saying like it could be any of those, like any of those things legitimately could be true, but it's all rooted in their hatred for trans people. And so that, I think it was like intended to be a dig, but nobody got it because like,
yeah, I think I just figured, I mean, I've seen this clip before, but I think I just figured it out now. They're both white women with brown hair.
Yeah.
And I think that he was saying that Caitlyn Collins looks like Dylan Mulvaney. So,
that was,
I mean, that's supposed to be some sort of an insult, I guess. By the way, Donnie the Insult comic brought his entire entourage, and he still couldn't get any laughs. But you know,
whatever. The whole night it was
really clear. He has no.
I mean, he should have been embarrassed.
Yeah,
there is a reason. There is a reason why most comics are liberal leaning. You have to have some empathy, and comedy comes from punching up, not down.
Right.
It's famous interview.
Punch down have quicker wit than he does, wouldn't you say? I feel like, I don't know. I thought it was like a hot tub time machine comic. Like his speechwriter came from 2016, because that was the other thing, was it didn't make sense. The insults he was making about Elizabeth Warren and Pocahontas, because, again, like, he loves to hate on indigenous people as well. Like, it was just basically, as Chris just said, punching down and hitting all of these marginalized groups, but it wasn't current. It was like old material. And I suggested,
He has dementia.
and I don't know, I think it's because he goes to the speechwriters and he lobbies for what he can talk about, and they say,
well, that's what it seemed like. It seemed like he was taking old jokes that were not current. Like,
because that's all he knows. That's what he can do.
And I don't think he was using a proper speechwriter for this, or certainly not a comedic.
No, not
so
not
Caitlin,
at all.
I don't know if you guys saw this, but she was on the Daily Show, so we have a clip of that. I thought she. And here's what I don't know about you guys. I was not always like that on board with her, because I felt like in Trump's, was it his previous term or even earlier this term, she was almost like a stenographer. Like, she would read off whatever he was saying, even though they weren't true, like during COVID and all that stuff. And I was just like, but she's so much better now. Like, she pushes back, and of course he berates her.
You remember where she comes from, right? She started off in the business working for Tucker Carlson's outlet.
That's right. I did remember. Somebody reminded me last week of this, and I've forgotten that. I'm going to be on record saying I'm still not her biggest fan. Like, I'm not going to
me neither.
her, because I do feel like she's got a lot of room.
A lot of people are struggling right now. Like, a lot of these, I mean, I will give White House correspondents a little grace here, because you ask a question and you're going to be bitch slapped. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care, especially if you're a woman. And especially if you're a woman of color. Like, we see it every time. He's extremely misogynistic.
Women of color get all the passes. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, so I'm not giving him a total pass, but I'm just saying it takes some guts to, like, sit through that. So here she is on the Daily Show.
How was your weekend? What'd you do? Anything fun?
It was good. It was quiet.
Was quiet?
No, it wasn't.
That was Friday night?
Yeah.
There are times when I watch him and I think to myself, this can't be real. Like, this can't be America. America, you've heard of us. We're great.
Been here.
You've been here for
34 years.
Yes. We're number one. We're the best. That guy runs us? What? In the room that night, did it feel surreal? Was he bombing as hard as it appeared on the TV?
You know, I've covered Trump for 10 years. Yes. And so I've listened to pretty much all of his speeches for 10 years, with very little exception. And so I actually think it's helpful for other people to be able to listen to them in their entirety, which people really don't that much these days. In the room, I think I was not surprised when he insulted me. That happens pretty regularly inside the Oval Office.
Yes.
This is just a bigger venue where it was happening. Mm-hmm. What was most surprising to me was the room was filled with a lot of his staffers, his cabinet, his allies, Republicans in Congress. It was so quiet in the room during the president's remarks.
Because of how much they respect him.
Who's to say?
I thought that was hilarious. And then this happened.
My intention to run for a fourth term as president of the United States. I will be doing that. I will be having an official. In fact, I think I have. Yeah. I won 3 times. Now I'm going to do it again. Thank you. I'm going to do it. Should be easy. I'm getting very good at running for president. No, I won 3 times, did very well the second time, by the way. It's a rigged election, but we don't have to talk about it. You know, it's interesting when you come back and you do a good job like we did, and you don't care about it so much, but we do have to tighten up these elections because they really are in seriously bad shape. But on a serious note, I want to say once again, I just want to thank you all.
All right, so
he is as
what do y'all
subtle
got? I know you guys have
rotting
something to say
meat.
about that.
Like, as subtle as rotting meat. Like, it's just so
I didn't see that as funny. I saw that as this man is delusional and he's actually running our country.
And then let's talk about the fact that he didn't even just say a third term. He said a fourth term. In other words, he already won the one he's been saying that that he that he won. He's actually counting that as a number. So this is just, you know, I think we should make fun of this a little bit, although it wasn't funny.
The
We still
lack
have a
of laughs and
constitution.
responses were funny. The fact that,
Yeah.
you know,
The
normally
silence
we would
was
have heard
pretty funny,
cheers,
yeah.
but we heard like nervous laughter. Like people were nervous, like they were like, this isn't funny and it's embarrassing. Like the people who were supposed to be his biggest supporters couldn't even muster what used to be cheers, right? Like, and now it was like like, right?
It was
I heard
cringe
it.
the whole night.
It was, yeah, it was terrible, and they were embarrassed, and whether they acknowledged that or not, you could hear it in the crowd.
So
I don't think you take this as a joke.
Yeah, I think he intends to do it. They're planning on stealing the midterms. I mean, I think that like how far they get is debatable, but I think they are doing I'm not saying they're flipping ballots and that kind of thing, but they're chipping away at our confidence in our elections. They're trying to intimidate folks. They will intimidate people at the polls. All these little things add up, and they're just doing it all. We have some other things to talk about when we come to midterms in a later segment. But this post from Georgia anti-fascist who was QT'd by National Park Service, I thought this was a good point. So if you guys know about this, if you can comment or on this, I'd love to hear it. Let us be clear. If Trump does indeed run for a third term, and if he runs unopposed by the GOP, meaning if he's the nominee, if they nominate his ass, his Democratic opponent automatically wins. Every vote cast for him is thrown in the trash because every vote cast for him was a cast for an ineligible candidate. Donald Trump ceases to be president at noon on January 20th, 2029. What do you think of that? Because I thought that was brilliant. I don't know.
Technically, he could be in office for 10 years, technically.
When Colorado tried to keep him off the ballot for insurrection, that was deemed to be not constitutional by the Supreme Court, and that it had to be Congress that would do that. Well, if your intent is to rig the elections so that Republicans control Congress, then who is to say that this Supreme Court couldn't say, well, sure, the 22nd Amendment says, but the states have the ability to control their elections, separation of powers, federalism, and if they want to have them on the ballot, they can. And if you think that's insane, then we just had a 5-4 essentially decision where 4 Supreme Court members said that the 14th Amendment did not say what it absolutely says. So I don't think it's very tinfoil hat to think that were it to come to the Supreme Court, that they would create a rationale out of whole cloth to why he would be eligible to run.
I think it's all in the hands of Congress. And I think we just saw today, I was telling Chris about this in a voice memo, I think we saw with the Todd Blanche thing and the way that that's rolling out, which we'll talk about later, but like just in general, I think it's Congress is the one thing that they haven't found a way around. Now, up until now, they've had the majority and there's been a lot of like, in weakness and refusal to stand up to him. But as people begin to do that, they don't have an answer for that other than like voter intimidation and suppression and giving power, like circumventing power from the states to the federal government, right? Like the answer is trying to prevent Democratic wins in Congress. It's not like nullifying Congress. It's nullifying Congress by putting Republicans in and limiting Democrats in Congress. So this actually should be, if anything, actually a hopeful thing for people to realize that the more people that get invested in their local elections, the more people that go volunteer to be poll workers, the more people that vote early, that agree to show up and help protect voter turnout, that you help register people to vote, that we're getting people to show up to polls, that we keep highlighting things like this, because there's a lot of Republicans who aren't good with this. They don't find the savory. They don't like it. And they may not show up to vote because of it. They may not show up and vote for a Democrat, but they also may just not show up to vote. And then that would benefit us. And so I really do believe that at the end of the day, yes, we need to be talking about this. Absolutely 100%. I don't believe the Supreme Court is on board for us at all. But I do think that if we can find a way to prevent the SAVE Act from passing and all of these things that they're trying to do to prevent voter turnout, if we can have high voter turnout, if we as Democrats can win solidly, I think we can nullify, or we can at least make him lame and limp coming through those last 2 terms. And this is why they wrote Project 2025 in the first place, right? Was because of the fact that the first time that's what the Democrats did. And they're like, how do we prevent that? I know, let's do all of these things. And if we have a majority, we got it. And that's what happened, right? So
yeah.
I just don't think he plans on leaving. I just don't think.
I don't disagree with that either.
With what he's doing to the White House and DC, this is not something that
midterms,
someone would do if they're planning on leaving in a year and a half or 2 years.
With the midterms, I think he knows he's in trouble, and I think he's he's 10 toes down, and he's doing all the things he can right now in DC to ensure his space there is protected by all means necessary.
And the Russell votes and all the people are putting ideas in his head to try to get as much policy done in the meantime that they can get.
Yeah,
that they can get accomplished.
I read Project 2025, y'all. That's where I'm coming from. Like I don't see him wanting to. If we win the midterms, if we get the majority, both the House and the Senate, and he's impeached, and it's a done deal, I don't think he's going to leave peacefully. He will not be removed quietly. He will.
I agree.
The whole January 6th thing was just I feel like, it was
a preview of coming attractions or distractions or terrible things. I agree with you.
So there is an argument to be made that the 14th Amendment does have ambiguity because it says all persons born in the United States and subject to the jurisdiction therein or thereof. I can't remember which.
Thereof.
Thank you, Chris. I thought it was thereof. And I'm the lawyer, by the way, and Chris is not, but
but he's the teacher, so there you
go. So at least there is an argument that the 14th Amendment does have some ambiguity. No ambiguity exists in the 22nd Amendment. No person shall be elected to the office of the president more than twice. Now, we all know the Supreme Court is a MAGA 6-3 and corrupt on top of that. But I don't see how, and believe me, I have seen.
They'll find a way to appoint him. And
I have seen Supreme Courts twist constitutional provisions and laws in ways that I wouldn't have thought imaginable. By the way, I've seen them do that both for Democrats and for Republicans, but I don't see how you twist that. The bigger problem, I think, is that he causes some emergency, quote unquote, to occur and stay in office.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I think the Iran war is going to carry on. And I think, false flags, whatever you want to call them, he's going to find a reason to,
I mean, they're trying to. What they want to do is federalize the elections. This is the main argument, or the reason why Trump did that speech last week or the week before, where he's basically trying to paint a picture of foreign interference in our elections, which is totally like bullshit. But I'm so glad he got put to bed on that. But this is their attempt to federalize our elections and take over the election.
I will say, I do think that they're going to do all those things. I think everybody's correct. But I think that they are having trouble manufacturing the kind of the level of like threat that would require that, because they've already done this for so long. People are fatigued, and now they're like, so what, we're going into another country and bombing them, oh well, right? Like, it's like we're getting to the point where even people are like, I mean, whatever, dude, next. And I don't think that they have the same attention from the public that they did 2 years ago. Like, I think that we're all so numb and we're all so frustrated and the economy's so bad and like there's just so many bad things that it's gonna take. I'm not saying they can't find it, and I don't want to challenge them, okay? This is not a challenge. I don't want to do that.
Let's be clear.
But to Adam's point, like, I agree, but I still feel like they have weird ways of finding ways in. But I also want to say, I do think the one thing we have in our favor is that the American public really is tiring of this. And while they may try to do it, they're not going to have the support publicly that I think that they would need to really succeed in that. That doesn't mean there won't be some challenges, some I don't know what it looks like,
So-
but I agree. He's not going to
If you
leave
give-
peacefully.
If you give him 2.5 more years, how much more of the military leadership is stripped of anyone that has
Yeah.
any feelings of
That's right.
negativity towards him?
That's
If
right.
you give him 2.5 more years, how much is ICE ramped up to be not just immigration enforcement?
There is
If you
private
give-
secret police.
If you give him 2.5 more years, and especially considering that we're heading into census territory, like how many things can he rig in that regard?
That's true.
I don't think we're being creative enough in our thinking, because we're not nefarious people. That we are not
Speak for
thinking
yourself.
of,
Failure of imagination, perhaps.
I do
We're
think
not-
that's true.
we're not thinking of all the things that are possible, and I trust that they are.
But also,
So there is a
he might
doomsday
die.
plan
He might die.
that I don't know if we're hitting on tonight. I can't remember, but we will hit on that in the near future.
Manifest.
So let's just hit.
Speaking of death,
Lindsey
speaking of
Graham's.
death, look at that transition I
Now
had for you.
we're gonna hit. So
Segue.
Lindsey Graham's funeral was this week. I promise we are not going to be playing any videos of people saying wonderful things about this man. But there were some things from this service that went viral, and so
I'm
we're
sorry,
gonna show a few of them.
What videos would that have been of people saying wonderful things about this man? Were there
Well,
wonderful
we're not.
things to say
I don't
about
know,
him?
Adam. We're not playing them tonight. That's for sure.
No,
So this
no.
this one was just. So this is a Secret Service officer,
His
and
face.
they, you could. This is the moment when
The diaper.
Trump let loose.
Oh, boy, I feel bad for
Something,
the
right?
guy.
Someone called it cinema. They called it cinema.
Oh,
I mean,
boy.
I feel sorry.
He's going to be off the presidential detail.
Look
You
at
just know.
look at the
100%.
relief though. Look at the relief on Trump's face. He's like, oh yeah, that was good.
That's why he's
Exactly.
asleep.
Exactly. This other one's funny. Casey sent this over.
In the assurance of eternal life, given it
First of all, I
given
want
at
to point
baptism.
out that he did not have an easy time getting up there. I don't know if you.
No, he did not.
You
Like
noticed
that was a struggle.
In the assurance of eternal
he can't
life,
get up
given at
without using
baptism,
hands.
let us proclaim our faith and say, I believe in God, the Father Almighty, creator of
He
heaven
has
and
no
earth.
idea.
I believe
He's-
in Jesus Christ.
You don't know where
He's
he is.
holding the pamphlet the right way. That's a win.
Who was
Yeah.
conceived by the power
I
of
pointed
the
this
Holy
out. I was
Spirit.
like,
and
I came
born
from
of
an
the
era
Virgin
where
Mary.
this would have ruined your
He
political
suffered
career
under
if you
Pontius
were a
Pilate,
Republican,
was
because
crucified,
it's like
died, and
there's
was buried.
zero reverence
descended
for
to
what's
the dead.
happening right there.
On
And
the
it used to be
third
you
day
had
he
to be
rose again.
religious to be
He
a
ascended
Republican in
into
office.
It's not even reverence. He has no clue. Like,
Yeah,
what he's
no idea
doing.
what's going on.
I don't know if I'm sure he's been at a funeral, but maybe not a religious one. I have no
I
idea.
believe
Yeah.
in the
But
Holy
I'll be
Spirit,
right
he's-
back. I'm gonna go
Holy
grab some
Catholic
Tums
Church,
because this is
the
literally making me nauseous.
the forgiveness of
Okay,
sins,
next
he
clip.
doesn't-
We're moving on
and
here.
the life
This is funny too.
Don't have any lettuce, Michelle.
Watch what he's doing. I mean, is he trying to say Grady Vance has bad
He's
breath?
trying to
with
get
the
in
Tic
the
Tac?
TikTok.
But
Yes,
why?
that's what he was trying to do. It's a TikTok.
I guess he's being polite. I don't know.
Well, he dropped the first one.
There's a lot of
Yeah, I
times
know.
it's easy. It's easier to bow out. It's easier just to go a different way, the path of least resistance. But he stayed the course.
He doesn't know how to behave
What a
at a
mess.
funeral because he's never had any true friends. He's never
No.
had anyone that he's loved. He's never felt loss. He can't
He's a
act.
narcissist.
He can't act properly at a funeral because he's never acted properly at a funeral with normal human emotions because he's not capable of
Right.
them.
This other clip, I think this is our last one.
ability to light. Grant that your servant Lindsey, being raised with him, may know the strength
This
of
is
his
this is
presence
a TikTok, but it's a Fox News clip. So keep that in
and
mind.
rejoice in his eternal
That
glory.
cameraman zooms in
Who
on
with you
his
and the Holy Spirit lives and reigns
on his
one
bruises
God
on his
forever
hands.
and ever.
This is Fox
Amen.
News. So that's kind of crazy.
Most merciful God, whose wisdom is beyond our understanding.
And then they go to his sweaty
Deal
face.
graciously with Lindsey's family and friends in their grief.
All right, so I'm playing
And
this
again,
one more
I
time
feel
for
like
a reason.
we need to, I need to preface something here really quick because I want to make sure that we say this. We are not commenting on, you know, people who have limitations physically or people who have ailments. Like, you can be a president.
does.
What we're talking about is the lack of transparency from this administration, the consistency of that administration to lie about his health and refuse, like, to acknowledge what we all see happening in front of us, and that we now know that it's gotten to the point, especially cognitively, that this man is not capable of being president.
Sorry.
And so I felt
Sound
like it was
effects.
important to say that because I don't want people who are disabled to think that, like, we think that he's less than because of that. That's not the issue here. For us, it's about the lying and the manipulation
Yeah,
of
this is not
administration.
about disabilities here. This is
Right.
And let's be clear. This man would do this. He would say far worse than what we're saying about anyone else, especially if
That's
they
right.
were.
He's also
Democrat.
taking
So,
away their access to to healthcare,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so let's be
so
clear
did-
about that as well.
Yes, so did a lot of the Republicans, right?
He mocked
So-
a disabled reporter prior to the first election, and nothing
And that
happened.
should have been the end.
Right.
That should have been the
The
end.
end.
Like, I blame everybody. Like, you saw him do that, make fun of a disabled reporter.
That was crazy.
That should have been disqualifying. Like, if John McCain wasn't enough, that would have been enough.
That will be in the textbooks as a what the absolute fuck were y'all doing? Like, that's
It's
when there are
disgrace.
moments where they pick apart and they say, like, you know, when we look back at Nazi Germany and they say, well, how could that have happened? That's going to be the number one thing that people go, what were they doing? Like, what were they smoking back then? Not anything good, apparently.
So did you guys see there's been a lot of chatter about his diaper nurse. So,
Yeah.
and that's her official name, diaper nurse. So this shot was at the dignified transfer. I'm sorry, this is so small, but you can see there's like literal Depends, it looks like. I can't see the branding, in a bag that looks like a tote. And for some reason, it's tethered to what people are saying are the nuclear football. I don't know what happened there.
Why have these people never heard of packing inserts? I'm so confused because, like, you could just put those in a packing insert and stick it in there and nobody would know. So it's like they just don't care. Like, they don't care.
I was
who
just gonna
knows at this
say,
point.
I almost feel like they want people to know, and I also think Trump right now with all his behavior and the crap that he's pulling, the Medicare, cutting Medicare subsidies, all of that. It's almost like he wants the Republicans to lose. Like, I don't understand.
There's no way
all of the awful things that are happening, and like, the folks sitting in those seats have got to be saying, dude, what are you doing to us? You're killing us right now. I just can't believe that there's not going to be pushback at some point, because these folks, this is their bread and butter, right?
But this is the problem. I'm concerned that they don't seem concerned, and I think that speaks to a level of assuredness of the outcome of the elections that is unwarranted.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I don't know.
We lost Adam.
Do you have-
I was texting.
For some reason, I don't know why. I'm just going to say this. Sorry, everybody, but it won't let me add him back to the stage. Adam, pop off and come back on, because something
I took him out and then tried to add him back, and it wouldn't let me either.
It's
so.
not letting him be added back. So.
I don't know what's going on.
So,
but anyway,
did you see?
Agree with.
I was going to say there was a photo of her several photos of her where she's standing behind him in the Oval too.
Yeah.
So
she's
always
everywhere.
there.
She's being
I
tasked.
definitely believe that she is his diaper nurse.
Yeah.
Why is it not letting us add Adam to the stage?
I wonder if she's an actual nurse. Do you think she has any backgrounds and has anybody checked to see? she has any like actual medical
I don't know.
knowledge, degrees.
I have her name somewhere, and I haven't looked it up.
I keep meaning to do that. To be fair, there is so much to do at this point, at this juncture. There's a lot happening. Speaking of all the president's sins, our segment that we have every week where we talk about the specific things that he has done to ruin this country on purpose. And I would like to reiterate my claims from earlier, which is that this isn't just a man that likes destroying things. He's destroying things in aid of enlarging his own personal wealth and power, right? So this is a grift. It's a con. If he's not making money, his children are making money. If they're not making money, his friends are making money to then reinvest in his stuff. It's like this nice incestuous or bad incestuous financial circle with all of these people. So here we're gonna go through and look at all the things this week that are the sins of this president.
Lindsey.
I mean, and there's quite a bit here. Let's
oh my God, there's so many things. I don't know.
I found this recap that I thought was, well, actually, you know what? I'm so sorry.
I don't know if I sent it to you, but did y'all see the video? Okay.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, if you saw the picture of Netanyahu, like in the Oval Office, like every time we see it, there's more gold shit in there. Like, I don't know how they can pack it more. I'm so overstimulated every time I see a picture of the Oval Office. I'm like, how can you put anything else in there? It's everything is awful.
Anyway. One of the wonderful things about the Oval Office was the austerity of the office, right?
That's gone.
I mean, oh my God.
It gets worse, though. It gets worse
so
every
bad.
time. I mean, this I thought was, where's this one here?
He shared all of these, by the way, to Truth Social. So, like,
that's
his post that he shared. Like, what do you mean? That's like a Where's Waldo picture, and you're trying to find.
You know what it reminds me of?
That's what that is.
It really reminds me, like, my daughter and I are really into antiquing. And it reminds me, like, you go into these old antique shops and they'll have like sections, you know, of like certain estates and how some you can tell like this old woman obviously collected gold, you know, things. This person collected ivory or what. That's what this reminds me of.
One goblet shy of a hoarding problem. I'm serious. And I think
it's definitely past forward. Yeah.
It's like those hidden object games you play where there's just everything is like a disarray.
How many
you have to lift things up to find stuff.
Did you guys hear about the horses that were gold plated?
I haven't driven by it.
They were bronze.
Okay, so
they
these
were bronze. Why are we pointing them?
But he's gold leaf them. This is 23 point something karat gold.
I want to talk about this because it's been a fucking disaster for traffic
can I finish? Let me just finish this explanation here. So, a lot of people are saying this is spray painting. It's not spray painting. That wouldn't hold up. I'm not saying it's well done, but it's gold leaf. Gold leaf should hold up through lots of weather if it's done properly, but it's all in the glue. Like if they didn't prep it properly, glue it properly, when they did the gold leafing, it will fail. And so far, Trump
you're saying it should be peeling. It should be peeling any day.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying
if the glue was not done.
Okay, I'm gonna say that.
That's what I was
But anyway,
saying.
this cost us $5 million to just do the gold leafing. Us, our tax dollars, and that to me, that's the biggest point.
Just so y'all know where this is, by the way, it's like when you're coming over the bridge, it's like as you're passing the Lincoln Monument, right? Like it's there, like so it's not even like I don't know how to explain this, but it's just like they've always been there, and it's not that they're not nice to be there, but this isn't necessarily like where I would put it that the most people would see it, or like you know what I mean. It's not like people aren't taking pictures next to it. It's not because it's a place where there's a lot of traffic, and so it's not. That's not where you should put your money, is what I'm saying. Like, this is like the most ridiculous display of money waste that you could do, because it's just the only people that are, I mean, I guess if you're walking over the bridge, you could see it, but that's just the commuters are seeing it.
I mean, and there's nothing, this is not a historic thing. You know what I mean? Like,
there's nothing there. Like,
it's just, it doesn't make any sense.
It's giving Odyssey vibes, honestly.
They have if you're in Paris, they have gold statues that are historic. They're from, pre-Nazi occupation, that kind of a thing. But this is like ridiculous. All right, so I found this clip. This is a recap of where a lot of what money. I've been wondering if someone's keeping a running total. I don't even think this is everything, but it's pretty appalling.
Made a list of the 10 most wasteful things
Should I get
Trump
more
has
thumbs?
done. These are in no particular order. Number one, the ballroom. $1 billion for the ballroom, and taxpayers are already going to spend $300 million. Number two, the slush fund for insurrectionists. Remember, he sued himself, and then he decided, no, I'll settle by creating a $1.776 billion fund for January 6th insurrectionists, including folks who beat up cops. Number three, the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool. New reporting says it's $16 million, and they're gonna have to drain it and start over, and it's gonna cost even more money. Number four, the Argentina bailout. People forget about this one. $20 billion to Argentina. Number five, DHS propaganda and waste. $172 million for 2 private jets. $220 million on that ad campaign for Kristi Noem. And then, of course, number six, the $240 billion for ICE. That's nearly $250 billion just for the detention of people and the deportation of people. Number seven, Trump's arch. That arch is going to cost at least $100 million, and we're on the hook for $15 million just as a down payment. Number eight, Trump's birthday parties. Remember the army parade in the streets of Washington, D.C.? That cost you $45 million. This year, it was the UFC cage match on the White House lawn. Number nine, golfing. Believe it or not, you have already paid over $100 million for him to golf. He's on track to spend $300 million by the end of this term. And number 10, this comes from the Doge files, screw worms. As you may know, there's a screw worm outbreak. It's going to cost about $1 billion. They cut a $15 million investment to prevent this. So the $15 million that they saved us will now cost us $1 billion. Anytime they mention waste, fraud, and abuse, send them.
I think that's such an important point about the screw worms, because we're just at the beginning stage of that. And what did they do? They cut 15 million from the budget, and it's going to cost up, maybe $1 billion is the projection to
They screwed us on screw worms.
Screw worms.
I mean,
so it's the shit they are doing. Then this is another thing. They cut. I think it's an important point, and we need to circle back on this on a future live, but they cut grants from blue states. So any state that Kamala won, this is the determination to cut grants from these states. So they didn't cut them from red states. That was actually their motive, and they admitted that in court. Anybody want to add to that?
Are you talking about the FEMA grants?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Oregon he just denied Oregon two of the largest fires that they've ever had. He just denied them FEMA. And then the story that broke a couple days ago by Politico, I think it was that there were 4 blue states that were denied grants during when we had the really bad snowstorms. And so right now he's currently rejecting 40% of all Democratic grant requests from FEMA. Yeah. So and that's compared to like where I think he's at. He's approving, I think it was like 79% of red states. So
here's another
blue states
hot
are
one.
only getting like 60. Yeah.
This is for you, Michelle, because I know how you feel about this kind of thing.
Convince your community how great these things. You can't fight it. You have to go with it. And you're going to have all that protection, and we're giving you automatic protection, but you're going to make a tremendous amount of money. You're going to reduce taxes, and you're going to have something that if you don't have it, everybody else wants it. So these are the smartest people. Most of you in this room, we have a couple probably on the other side of things. They disagree, but I don't know how they can disagree. Your community and your state's going to become rich, and there's very little disruption. And again, if you don't take all that money, somebody else is going to take it. You might as well do it yourselves.
So just to be clear, he has investments in data centers, and so do his sons. So and remember when he was promoting Dell, and he had bought stock just before that, and then Dell, he was promoting it on one of his press conferences, and it went through the roof, the stock. this is the same thing. And he knows people do not like data centers in their communities. And he's trying to, bullshit us.
Well, yeah, what they're trying to sell it as is a tax, right? Like, your state's going to get a tax benefit. Okay, a tax benefit at what cost? Cost of air, not being able to breathe, asthma, heart attacks, poisoning. I could go on.
This is so similar to to strip mining, to ecological disasters that have happened with more primitive kind of technologies. That sure, you say that this is going to happen, but very few people extract the wealth, and not from that community. So yes, somebody's going to get rich, but it's not going to be that community.
Right.
No, exactly.
And don't believe anybody when they say jobs. It's going to create jobs. They're very temporary, and they're only during the construction of these data centers. It requires very few personnel to run a data center, so it's not going to have.
I saw a video of a contractor who was working on one of the data center job sites, and he was saying that literally the money that they have for these projects are just. He's like, it's just flowing. He could do whatever the hell he wanted. He could tell them we needed an extra $3 million or an extra, and they'd be like, here you go. There's no guardrail. There's no.
And the thing that's happening now, they're starting to lie about their data centers. They're trying to.
Yeah, they're not even calling them data centers.
Data centers when they clearly are a data center being built. So stay tuned with that. Let's play this clip too. Speaking of corruption.
Is out in the open, the eldest son of our own president, investment genius, Don Trump Jr. Here it is in the New York Times. Donald Trump Jr.'s investment firm posts staggering returns of 200%. Quote, just 2 years ago, 1789 Capital, the investment fund Trump runs with business partner Omid Malik, managed a few $100 million. It now oversees more than $3 billion. Its main investment fund generated returns of roughly 200% as of June 30th, according to a person familiar with the firm's performance. While still early in its investment cycle, those returns eclipse the average returns of about 21% for venture capital firms started in 2023, according to PitchBook. He really got very, very good at this very quickly. In interviews with the New York Times, executives of 1789's portfolio companies said they viewed involvement in 1789 as a way to get close to the Trump orbit. And this is just the latest in a daily, sometimes multiple times a day, drumbeat of headlines about what is unquestionably the most corrupt American administration of my lifetime, possibly ever.
He's not a genius. He's the
easing of inflation.
The money that all of the folks who want to make money off this administration are saying, here, invest in this because we're going to do this. It's all an inside game. It's got nothing to do with genius. It's got to do with thievery. They're stealing money from us, period.
For Bugs Bunny fans, he's as much of a genius as Wile E. Coyote is.
I give Wiley credit over him.
It's upsetting how everything is opposite. Everything is just the opposite of reality, and it's so overwhelming that it's hard to even know where to begin to reason. It's so absurd when you put things out like that. It's like, saying that, Hitler was a humanitarian, and I use that just because that's a very easy thing to reference. That it's how would you even begin? You're just like, okay, let me just go through all the facts and reality. This is just absurd.
So, Casey, you sent this clip over about more Americans are using credit cards for groceries. Let's watch this for a second.
Despite the easing of inflation, new research shows more people in the U.S. are using credit or dipping into their savings to pay for groceries. NPR's Jennifer Ludden says food prices have jumped 30% over the last 5 years.
More than a quarter of working-age adults who used a credit card for food did not. Out. That's according to new research by the Urban Institute think tank, which finds an uptick in such financial stress since 2023. Nearly 20% said they'd tapped long-term savings not meant for daily expenses to pay for groceries. A third who used buy now, pay later missed a payment in the last year. The survey was done in December before the Iran war sent gas prices up and further strained many people's budgets. Over the past year, expanded work requirements for federal food aid have also taken hold. Enrollment in that program has dropped by several million people. Jennifer Ludden, NPR News, Washington.
I'm Dave Mattingly, NPR News in Washington.
So yeah, I don't know. I wonder. This is just a personal question, and I don't know how they collect this data. I will say we use our credit cards for almost everything, and we pay them off every month, just so we're not doing the interest. But I like the points. So I am one of those people that I've always used credit cards for my groceries. We do that as a family, but it's not like we're running up interest on it. So I wonder how that's calculated. But obviously it's an increase, and I think that's the news. Like more people are doing it.
That's definitely the news.
Yeah,
I think it's really common.
Well, having to take your money out of savings is a big deal to pay for groceries.
Yeah. Most people don't have a lot of savings, and they don't have a lot for the quote unquote rainy day. So that's depleted. I mean,
that's a big thing. They say you're one paycheck. A lot of people are one paycheck away. And now it's getting harder because you're paying more for gas, you're paying more for groceries, you're paying more for everything. So
I think people have
rack up a lot of debt very quickly.
And I think
people have underestimated substantially what people are, a lot of times I think people use credit cards because they're like, oh, kind of like a Chevy Chase situation in the Christmas movie where he's like going to get a pool and he like knows he's going to get that bonus money and he plans for that and then he doesn't get that bonus money or like eventually does. But like, that's the thing, right? I think a lot of people are operating that way where they're waiting for like their tax refunds or whatever these windfalls are supposed to be. So if something happens, like a car breaks down or someone gets sick or whatever, then they've overextended themselves. And I think that that's happening, that it's really predominant right now. And people are underestimating how many people are living like that.
I have a personal story that really hit me today that kind of just really upset me. She didn't upset me, just the situation. My daughter came to me today. She had to go to maybe a little 30-mile jaunt. And she said, "Can I borrow your car?" And I was like, "Borrow my car? What's wrong?" Like here, I'm thinking something's really bad. She's like, "Yeah, just for a quick trip to here or there, and I'll be back. It's not a big deal." And I was like, "Why do you need my car?" And she said, "Because I can't afford gas."
Oh.
I'm like, "What?" It broke my heart. And I was like, "Well, here's some cash and I'll go, go put money in here. Go to Costco. It's where it's cheap."
I'm saying my brother's living at home right now because he and his wife got divorced and he's a firefighter EMT. And she's a lawyer, but she works for the state. And so the idea of them paying for a mortgage and also a separate residence was hard. He was living with somebody else above their garage. But then when they had to move, it was like, well, where does he go now? And he was like, the idea of spending all this money on something that I could be putting towards my kids or whatever just seemed irresponsible. My parents were like, "Yeah, come stay here." And I think that that's happening a lot. And I saw an article the other day saying that not only is it happening, but that it's actually a financially prudent decision. It used to be that was considered to be you were the irresponsible person if you ended up living with your parents. And now it's like, no, that's actually the smart thing to do. And that's
not only that,
it's very much
the norm. It's very much the norm these days.
Yeah.
It's
wild.
I saw an interview with Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she said she's running again running in a different district because of gerrymandering. But she was talking about her and her husband have 3 college-educated kids, and they're all living at home. They're all adults living at home, and they were able to buy a house in their 20s. And their kids would never be able to do that. Same here. We bought our home, our first home in our 20s. And that's really a big challenge for most young people these days.
We don't have one. We missed it. We missed it by just that. And we live in DC, so just that should explain a lot for people. And then it was like the pandemic, and then we thought we were getting ready to, and then Trump was like, there's always just something, and I'm like, I don't know if the economy's ever going to recover at this point. So anyway, yeah.
The more desperate people become because of things like grocery prices, gas prices, the more they reach to things that are like gambling, where before you might get a lottery ticket and you just hope, and you're spending that money that you really should be spending on groceries because you think, well, I'm never going to have enough money, I'll just buy the lottery ticket. Now that's going into things like crypto. Now that's going into things like prediction markets.
Kalshi.
Kalshi. Now
Poly
now that's going into things like sports gambling apps. And that's the point. The point is that if the people are desperate enough that they don't see any other way out, then they're going to go to riskier and riskier things, be that running up credit card debt or crypto or prediction markets or gambling. It doesn't matter. It is extracting wealth, and that is the goal.
Don't bet on the Mets, people. Don't.
Don't be crazy. Come on.
No, I'm sorry. I don't mean to make light. I mean, it's a very serious point.
No, it is.
And it's
no, but I mean,
terrible.
look, we're millennials. We are used to this now. We have dark humor. We have to laugh at it. You have to, because if you like dwelled on the direness of this every day, you'd be dead before him. And I refuse to fucking let that happen. So like, I just, you got to find humor where you can, and hopefully enough people are honestly having these conversations. They're laughing, but they're also acknowledging it, and that's going to direct their attention to the polls in November, and that they're going to vote accordingly. Like, hopefully people realize that we don't have to live like this. We could have healthcare. We could have affordable, like, housing and reasonable wages, and our student loans could be repaid, and we could have all those things, and corporations could be the ones paying for data centers. Like, there's so many things we could do if y'all just stop voting for Republicans because they don't believe we should have those things. That's why we're here.
All right, so so while people are struggling to buy groceries, buy gas, Trump the other day posted 44 posts in 6 hours. So this is what he's doing. Oh, there we go.
Almost entirely of.
Oh, and I do want to mention, this was not at night. This was not in the middle of the night. This was like during afternoon hours. So
The president's post consisted almost entirely of AI-generated images. Slop. More than a quarter of the posts were Iran-related and sowed disinformation, including a poorly generated photo of fighter jets striking Karg Island, which, of course, handles 90% of Iran's oil exports. Trump posted 6 different versions of an AI image of him holding an American flag on a ship with the caption, "It's our oil tanker now." The president also shared a graphic, once again, downplaying the number of deaths for U.S. service members so far in the Iran war.
So to be clear, I don't know if we're hitting this tonight, but there's we know the Pentagon has lowered the number of dead in the war, and under the guise of saying, oh, that was during a ceasefire. I think we do have something on that later. What he's talking about here, downplaying, is not changing the number. I noticed this still has the number as 17, I think. I can't see from here. But he's comparing it to other presidents. So his point is like, I've only been at war for a couple months, and we've only lost this amount of people, whereas these other wars lost this other amount. So he's really, I think, disrespecting, our service members.
And then he wrapped up his social media spree with a fake movie poster of him wearing a cape and saving George Washington from falling off the edge of a cliff near Mount Rushmore that is oddly missing the face of Abraham Lincoln.
I mean, what did I say? Republicans are failed theater kids who couldn't get famous through any legitimate other way. So this is why our nation is under fire and everything sucks. Is because these people need attention in this kind of way. It's just really.
Did you guys see the White House, the official White House account on Twitter, speaking of AI, posted this? And I'm not really sure. There's a lot of imagery here. And I get a little bit of it, but not all of it. I think it's about immigration.
God, I'm so fucking embarrassed.
That's the official White House. That is the official. And you know, I don't know if you guys saw this before, but is this Trump and Mondami? Is that Mondami chasing after Trump?
No,
Or is that,
I think I think that was Kash Patel, and it's done. It's done in the style of Rick and Morty.
Yes.
So that's the animation style.
Yeah.
Those are the portals and everything. But it's slop, and it's incredibly disrespectful to all of us that this is what their official account is putting out.
I mean, it's the theatrical nature of it while we're at war, a war that they've created. It's not a formal war that's been declared. It's one that's been issued by him, and this is what he's doing with it. And I would like to remind you that I can't even remember when it was, but it was a 7.5 minute scroll of his Truth Social post, because I know that it was longer than the Don McLean American Pie song, that I screen recorded Trump's posts on Truth Social. It was like when he had that last, I don't know when it was, but you know, like where he goes on these truthing sprees. And it took like just to scroll. And I mean, like, I wasn't like slowly, I was like going like this. Like, that's how many I don't even know how many it was like hundreds. It was crazy. He's been doing this for a while is what I'm saying. Instead of like running the country, he's just wasting time on Truth Social. Mind you, not even legitimate news media, like not even on media where he could be learning things. He stays on Truth Social because it's the only place that's favorable to him. That's the only place where he's going to get people that are making him feel really good about himself.
Yeah. All right. So let's see.
I don't think. Do you think he even actually watches this stuff, or does he just? He's like, oh, there's my face. And
I think he posts things. I don't know about the White House account. I don't know if he's into that, but his Truth Social stuff, he mostly is posting stuff that is endearing to him or makes him feel, you know, like some superhero or like, you know, like a bigger man kind of thing. He posts that shit. And he's also a lot of times, it's not necessarily original posts. He's reposting other accounts that are posting.
This isn't, it's just,
I think there's a certain, I think if you like want to be loved by Trump,
man.
I know.
It's an 80-year-old man who's literally sharing AI cartoons.
I know. But remember, that's what he shared with the Obamas. When he shared that racist trope of them, that was somebody else that had posted it, and he took it and posted it all the time.
So let's listen to this clip. This is the clip I was talking about with the Pentagon.
Hey, to stop the rising death toll in his wildly unpopular and illegal war in Iran. The solution? Just rig the data. The New York Times reports tonight. On Wednesday, the Pentagon reported on its casualties website that a total of 18 American service members had been killed during the war in Iran. By Thursday, the Defense Department had lowered that number, reporting that 14 American troops had been killed in the war. 3 military officials said that one reason behind the change was that the Trump administration decided to remove 4 service members killed this past weekend from the list, 3 in Jordan and 1 in northern Iraq, because their deaths occurred after President Trump declared a ceasefire in the war in April. The officials described sensitive internal discussions on the condition of anonymity. That's today's version of the story from the Trump administration. Do leaders in ceasefires sound like this? I am considering a massive attack, bigger than ever before. I am close to making a decision. We are all set for it, adding that Iran wants to negotiate, but that they haven't received enough pain yet.
So this story kind of changed. So this is when it first came out, and they did it with purpose, intention, that it was because the ceasefire was going, that these shouldn't be the official count, or they shouldn't be in the official count. Then it changed it. Didn't they say it's some kind of a data pause, which has been going on for like a week? So the number is still, I don't know about today, but as of yesterday, it was still the same. It was 14 instead of 17.
Or we could talk about the hundreds of people that have been injured that they tried to hide. There's that too. This whole thing makes me so angry.
It really does. And you know what, Michelle and everybody, I think that, like I keep saying, the war is going to be his undoing. And here's what some folks, on the ground are saying about the war.
Necessary catastrophe that is costing far too much money. I mean, every dollar is a dollar too much.
We need to bring those war dollars home, as the saying goes.
He shouldn't have told people that it was going to end quickly. And now it started all over again.
That woman's a 3-time Trump voter.
So people are not happy about it.
I did not think when the war started that it was going to be a 12-day, a 2-week, a 2-month. I'm like, here we go. And here we are, and I don't see it ending.
If you could give a message directly to President Trump about this war, what would you tell him right now?
I would say, Mr. President, please, hope you guys come to an agreement soon. Hope things just get better for the American people.
I mean, I don't know. And then you have this young woman's 19 and Barron Trump is 20.
Oh,
this,
it's so upsetting.
This woman
She's
has
a
not
baby.
She's a baby. Yeah, she hasn't even lived yet. And she was killed in
I was
war.
so upset about that. Did you hear her mom, when her mom was talking? Oh, it was so heartbreaking.
This one's actually serving our country because she's trying to get an education and better her life. And that little twat on the right over there is 20 and will never serve a day in his life. And he's making millions of dollars off of our tax. Oh,
and isn't he tied up to the Tate brothers now, or what's going on there?
They're all, they're all buddies with them. They're all following each other on social media and, there's some kind of connection between Barron Trump.
The apple falls not far from the tree, it seems.
Yeah.
Remember when people thought that he might be salvageable? They're like, I don't know, maybe he's not terrible.
They felt the same way about Tiffany, and I don't think that went well either.
Remember? Yeah, that was crazy.
All right, so Mitch McConnell is still whatever he
still
is.
Dead.
Do we? Okay, so I'm not in the he's dead camp unless we're saying brain dead is dead. Okay, I think he's on life support. I do not think he is capable of any type of communication or any kind of any of that. I do think his heart is still beating or whatever. I do.
Let's be clear. Kentucky law says brain dead is dead, so it's semantics at that point. He's dead.
Call.
Yeah.
And I hope at some point we get the truth. I don't think he's ever coming back. I hope we get the truth on when it happened and that all this shit is fraud. Like all these 20-minute phone calls and, he's coming back soon and these photos. What did you guys think of this newest photo?
Oh, it's fake. Well, so I want to talk about her black bra. And here's why this should stand out to you. So I am going to generalize because women over a certain age, especially one that's worth like $11 billion, they would not only not be in a Chico's like $40 button-up shirt. If they were, they would be wearing a flesh-colored, a nude-colored bra. They would not be wearing a black bra. It's just like not a thing. Okay, like now my generation. Should
I flash our viewers because it's
my mom is like this, right? Like my mom is really like it's the boomers are of a certain way. Okay, not that Michelle's not a boomer. But
you don't ever wear a black bra underneath a white shirt that you can kind of see through. You do not do it.
It is a rule, and here she is doing
it's
that.
A law.
In addition to that, his face. He's somehow getting younger with every picture. Like he's like Benjamin buttoning his way through rehab, and like every day he's like younger. And I don't know how is his hair getting dyed. He's getting dye jobs. Like he should be dying, but he's getting dye jobs. It doesn't make sense.
This is like 2 shows ago when Casey was saying they can't find the clitoris either. I mean, this is like.
I'm going to point something out before we move on. Do you see his smile here? This is another reason why it's an upward smile. He does not have an upward smile. He has a
He
downward
doesn't have the
smile.
facial muscles
So
any longer
see
to do that.
like if you look at all
There,
the photos
yeah.
of him smiling where he's with people before he, was in the hospital,
He looks like
he has a downward smile. This is a photo of him smiling. Here are
Maybe
more
call
of
the
him.
dolls.
Here are more of him, these are downward upward smiles. He has a downward smile.
Insulting. It's insulting. Like
It is.
It's just like, why don't you come and slap me in the face? It would be less annoying, honestly, at this point. Like, what is this? It's so clearly manipulated. I don't care if it's not AI, fake. I don't care if you've taken a real photo and manipulated. It's still not who Mitch McConnell is. And I stand by that, and I still believe, although we have seen Andy Bashir pushing now for accountability of where Mitch McConnell is, I still think no matter where you fall on whether Kentucky should have a special election or not, whether you should challenge a seat, like whatever, he should have been made to account for his whereabouts, because none of us could take 6 weeks off from a job, not really tell our employers where we went, and just expect to still have job security and health insurance and healthcare, which this man has all of those things. So the Republicans keep gutting our healthcare and taking away workplace protections. This man has both, and he's basically a cadaver. Like, this is upsetting to me that this is still happening, and people are like, well, where's Mitch McConnell? He's a senator.
Yeah,
we only have
I'm really
100
having
of
a hard
them.
time with folks saying, they're missing a vote. Let's just ride with it, right?
Yeah, thank you.
My taxpayer dollars are paying this man.
I also think the thing that you have to look at is like, what would Mitch McConnell be doing right now? This is a man that he was responsible for. He stole two Supreme Court justice seats, from Democrats. I don't think he would be doing nothing if he were the leader. If he were the Senate leader, a functioning Senate leader,
really clear, you guys,
and that were a
because
Democrat MIA, he would not just be chill.
Women have lost their rights to health care, reproductive health care, in what is it now, 28 states? And on top of that, now women have died because of that.
And been prosecuted.
Now they want to prosecute women. That's because of Mitch McConnell, period. There's the full stop. The man needs to go.
So let's look at what Andy Bashir has got to say, the governor of Kentucky.
McConnell, of course, remains hospitalized. McConnell's team revealing tonight the senator is not yet medically cleared to return to the Senate following polio complications.
Mitch McConnell owes the people of Kentucky, who are his boss, who have elected him repeatedly, a lot more transparency than this. All we've gotten are 2 photos and statements that virtually anybody could put out there. I mean, he's had a 17-minute conversation with his protege, Scott Jennings, but he can't call in for 3 minutes to Bloomberg or anywhere else just so we know he still has the capacity. So I sent another letter today demanding that he provide verbal proof that he has the capacity to continue, but I also sent one to John Thune, because as now the majority leader in the Senate, he has a duty, too, to make sure that all of their members have the capacity and can represent the people of their states. And what I told Leader Thune is there are only 3 ways for a vacancy, to my knowledge, to happen: a resignation, a death, or a vote of expulsion, a vote that there is not capacity from the Senate itself. If Mitch McConnell won't level with the people of Kentucky and the United States, Senator Thune has a duty to do so.
What are y'all thinking about him?
You lost me at I sent a letter. I understand. I completely understand the practical political argument of it's better to not have a senator from Kentucky than to have a functioning Republican one. What I don't understand is the political calculus that Democrats continually make, which is to play it safe all the time. The thing that people are so upset about is not Mitch McConnell per se. It is the idea that here is Andy Bashir, someone that ran for president, that his name is floated around as a possible presidential candidate in the future, a leader of the party, and this is his response. That, in this moment, is unacceptable.
Thank you.
And he keeps basically saying the same thing. And like you said, he wrote a letter. I mean, I do think that realistically, in order for him to appoint someone, he's got to have a vacancy, or to call a special election, he's got to have a vacancy. But he needs to be like pushing harder, in my opinion.
But he could be pushing for that vacancy, and that's the thing. Is that
I mentioned this last week, like sue, sue the legislator, whatever. I don't know.
I wrote a whole
Casey, how many days do we have left?
5.
That's it?
August 3rd, yeah.
5. I've been on the countdown. Well, and I also have like an ish on the end of my countdown, because I'm like, I don't know how close to the deadline they're gonna play it, right? Like, they may wait a couple extra days for good measure, who knows? But I like this, the way that they have played us, and I want to point this out, because I said it using a GIF from Parks and Recreation with Jean-Ralphio, and I was like, if the Republicans are supporting something, we probably shouldn't be. And so if they aren't fighting for a special election, if they're quietly safe and happy with one less vote in the Senate, there's a reason for that. Like, it may not be that that's where they end up. They may have another plan, but they have a plan. And this idea that they're just fine with being one vote down in the Senate and we're all winning because of, like, it's silly. It's absurd. And besides all of that, no matter where you stand on this, make them work harder. Like, make everything harder for them. Make them get lawyers. Make them show up to court. If we lose, and I've said this, y'all know, I've been saying this since we started Reformers. I said, if you make the Republicans work harder, people will show up and vote for you even if you fail. Even if you fail and you keep coming and trying, they will vote for you, because they think right now Democrats are too passive and there's a lot of inaction. And I know that I am speaking generally, and not everybody feels that way, but I really do believe you wouldn't lose your fans, and you also might gain some of the people on the fence. You might gain some of those swing voters by doing this, by showing that you're willing to stand up and do what's right and be more assertive and aggressive, and not just be the quintessential other party. There's a reason that if you look at how they're trending, and the Republicans are trending down in terms of popularity, that the Democrats are just right above that a few points, trending down the same way. There's a reason that the Democrats aren't spiking up really high and fast, that they're not really super far ahead in the polls. They're ahead in the polls, don't get me wrong, and I think we will still win in the midterms. But what I'm saying is, it should be an even bigger win. There should be even more support. And I think that we could do that in moves like this. Make them work for it.
You want to get some donations? You want your donations to go up? Act like you care.
This is what people are saying.
That's been my problem with DNC and stuff like that. You guys want money? Show me that you're doing something, because I'm not seeing anything.
This was going to be an empty seat anyway. This is an open election anyway. And what I don't see, I would venture to say that if you asked most people in the country about what's the deal with Mitch McConnell, they would be able to tell you at least a vague notion of what's going on.
I think most.
But if you said, who's the Democratic nominee for Senate in Kentucky, they would not be able to tell you. Every single politician, every single person that is on any newscast that talks about Mitch McConnell, they should have Charles Booker's name right there to say, and this is why we need Charles Booker. And if you want to support him, here's how you can do it. And this is why we need better representation for Kentucky, and he's the man to do it. And
we need to highlight him.
There is the extra step that nobody's taking. And there again highlights the inefficiency of the Democratic Party.
All right, I'm going to play there's an interview Bashir did with Katie Fang. And I thought this was really well done. She pushes back quite a bit, but it also explains what's going on here. Let me play it, and you guys comment on the other side.
Part of the reason why I wanted to have this conversation is I wanted to also let people understand what you can do. There's a lot of things flying around in social media about what you can and cannot do as the governor of the state of Kentucky when it comes to I'll use the word vacancy at this.
I also want to mention, for those that do not know, Katie Fang left MSNBC at the time and or her show was canceled. She is a practicing attorney. So, she's not just a regular podcaster.
Point, because I'm not really sure what the heck is going on.
Huh?
I said, whereas I got it right. She's a practicing attorney. I got it right.
Okay.
Sorry, bad joke.
Yeah. Okay.
Going on, right? So let's be clear. Back in 2021, the way that it worked was you, despite trying to veto this, you were then put in a position where you were going to have to pick if a vacancy came up for a Senate seat. You'd have to pick from a list of 3 be provided by the party of that senator. So for example, let's speak, plainly, if it was Senator Mitch McConnell, the Republicans would have been able to give you a list of 3 from which you would choose to be able to fill it. Back in 2024, there was a law that was passed that pretty much got rid of that. So I want everybody who's tuning in now, that'll tune in later, to understand. You as the governor of Kentucky, according to 118.720, which is a law in the state of Kentucky, you are supposed to do a special election who would then hold the office of Senator McConnell until his term lapses, which is January of 2027. However, your state constitution has section 152 that deals with vacancies, and it says plainly, vacancies in all offices for the state at large or for districts larger than a county shall be filled by appointment of the governor, and all other appointments shall be made as may be prescribed by law. I mean, Governor Beshear, it sounds to me, you either call the special election, which would then maybe force somebody, including McConnell, to come to you and try to sue you to stop you from filling his seat if he's able to do so, or you yourself, pursuant to your constitution, just put somebody in that seat if we don't get some satisfactory answers from McConnell.
Yeah, so you can only call a special election if there's a vacancy. And the declaration of that is ultimately for the Senate. But remember, I also have a Republican Secretary of State. And those are the offices that ultimately conduct those elections. But let's talk for just a minute. For those that are saying, call a special election, call a special election. We haven't won as Democrats a U.S. Senate seat since 1992.
This is talking yourself out of action before you do anything.
Self-limiting talk.
Yeah, exactly.
So I call a special election. We are likely in this interim period to get someone more obedient to Trump that will support him in every single way than Mitch McConnell. So Mitch McConnell's vacancy isn't acceptable because the people of Kentucky deserve representation. And some people are saying, just ignore that. Ignore the law, ignore the Constitution, ignore the separation between the federal and the state. And some would say, hey, Mitch McConnell would ignore the Constitution. Some are saying Donald Trump would ignore the Constitution. Well, I'm not going to be the Democratic version of Mitch McConnell and Donald Trump.
There also, though, I think comes a point of time where, you kind of have to shake the tree a little harder.
All right, guys, what y'all think? Where are we?
He disqualified himself as a politician with that 1992 statement.
Yeah.
The fact that that is something that you say in a smoke-filled back room, that is not something you say in public.
Yeah.
And it
just
is
basically
really
said Charles Brooker can't win.
It is.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
to me. It is like the child that I would be teaching in government who didn't finish reading the book or didn't understand something, and instead of coming in for tutoring, instead of asking a question, instead of doing literally anything at all to communicate their needs, they just showed up, failed, and then went, oh well. Right? And those are the kids that, especially the ones that are capable, that like it sets you on fire because you're like, well, I'm here to help, like, and I'm here to support you. I'm here to, and he's got all these people that are on fire for him right now that want to show up and help and that will amplify messages, right? Like, so even if he doesn't call the election, right? Let's just say that he did this every day. He stayed on Mitch McConnell's dead ass until someone accounted for it, right? Until someone answered for it, until people were so upset because people like Michelle are like, hey, I'm paying my tax dollars for this. This is like, I don't get to miss work like this. What the hell? Why does he get to work from home and you're making all of us show up? Until that happened, if he stayed on everybody, that would at least be doing something. But to go out there and be like, well, I tried. I asked him where he was.
Let's be honest. There's no way he's working. There's just no way.
I mean, but that's the point. Prove it. Make him prove it. Why are we just
If I could
them
see
to dictate
Mitch
terms.
walking through a hospital corridor pushing a walker, I will shut up.
Yep.
But that's not what we're getting.
It's got to be with people that aren't necessarily in his circle. I don't know. I mean, the hospital, maybe, but he's not. I don't know. Like, they made him look very good in these photos. Better than
That's not real. That's not real. Show me something
they're not
real.
That's what I'm saying. They're not real.
Say, okay, maybe,
everyone with eyes can see it.
He's not coming
Nothing
back.
in the party is real.
Right.
He certainly
But
looks
I'm
in those
coming back.
photos like a guy that could talk to the press for a couple of minutes.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here's another clip with Simone Sanders, who pretty much calls it out. Let's watch this.
That the people spoke to him. I'm sorry, there's no proof that they have offered up.
Just their word.
Just their word, which they've lied before. And so I am not going to give them the presumption of the truth. They're going to have to show me. They just can't tell me. And they have not shown us. I mean, even the governor, to your point, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to say this and I'll be quiet. I am addressing this letter to Senator McConnell under the assumption that he is capable of reading and responding verbally and not incapacitated by means of consciousness or cognition. The governor of Kentucky, that is how he started off his letter to Senator McConnell.
Well, and there's a reason for that, because the underlying thread here is how Republicans are playing politics with the seat, because of the timing of declaring a vacancy if one is to be declared. If, before a date certain in August, I think it's the middle 13th or so of August, the governor gets to a point. After that point, it goes to a special election.
Yeah, so I think that's it. I think we can move on.
She said what I've been saying, and it's absurd that we
yeah.
have to keep saying this. Why are they gaslighting us? Also, why are if you're a Democrat and you've been in my comments like pushing back on this, like, look, it's one thing if you feel that way and you're entitled to that, but don't you come into my feed and act like Republicans haven't been lying their asses off for the last however many fucking decades. Like, it's very upsetting that I point out, like, hey, maybe we should pressure them because, maybe they're lying. Everyone's like, but we like not having them have a vote. Well, first of all, how does one vote down in the Senate for Republicans really benefit you? Like, tell me how one vote really benefits you at this point. Like,
I really struggle with that.
Not substantially.
I really struggle with that part, Casey, because I feel like if we're really, truly saying we are people who believe in democracy, that's not democracy.
That's right.
When constituents don't have representation, that is
right.
not
Half
democracy.
of the state wouldn't have representation for 6 months. That's insane. At the Senate level, that's crazy talk.
It's unacceptable.
And also, just to the point of, again, I stress, it's not like it's like we're one vote teetering back and forth between majority. That's not what's even happening. So this is a risk that's worth the reward for us. This is a risk that's worth pursuing. And the fact that I'm having to convince people of that is crazy. But I guess why we're here.
All right, so we're going to move on to a totally different topic here. Last week, I think it was last weekend, the co-chair of the DSA was on Fox News. And there was a 45-second clip making the rounds. So I saw that clip and I was like, you know what? I want to see more. I want to see more of the interview. I don't trust very short clips when it comes to something like that, because what's the context? So I'm going to share with you guys 2 clips. I'm going to play the first one. It's definitely longer than 45 seconds, and we're going to pause, and then we're going to go on to the second clip. So watch this.
Put up on the screen a few of the things that are part of your platform, and I want to ask you, just give me sort of a true or false on these. Abolish the Senate. True. Okay. Replace the presidency and Supreme Court as we now know them. Yep. Abolish ICE.
Absolutely.
Abolish borders and give amnesty to anyone currently in the U.S. illegally.
As a long-term plan, yep.
Defund the Pentagon.
Absolutely.
Abolish prisons, at least in large part.
Yeah, again, that as part of a long-term program, yeah.
Okay, so no prisons. Government or public ownership of most large corporations.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so then let's go back through some of those then. Abolish the Senate. There are people who are in the Senate now who are very supportive of DSA. They lose their seats?
Well, the Senate is an anachronistic institution. It comes from the British House of Lords. It is made to protect power for, the Senate was part of the system that was made to make sure that the people didn't have too much of a say. So we want to expand Congress significantly, but make it a unicameral legislature.
Okay, and without the presidency and Supreme Court, so abolish ICE, would there be any enforcement of immigration laws, or with abolishing the border, we're not enforcing immigration laws, they go away?
Yeah, so again, this is part of this longer term plan, and part of it
But if you
includes,
can get there.
Yeah, I mean, if we can get to the place where the U.S. is not destabilizing countries in order to mine them for resources, there will be significantly less migration.
What do you say to those, though,
not...
that would potentially destabilize the U.S.? Because there's only so much the economy can bear, and when you have a flood of people coming in, it might not work out economically, according to a lot of analyses, if you just open up the borders and there's no enforcement at all.
Well, we're not saying open the borders tomorrow. We're saying rebuild an economy and a society that works for everyone.
Okay, so a lot of this to me sounds anti-democratic. And obviously, well, I shouldn't say obviously, everybody has their own opinion. I don't think it's very well thought out here when she's, I should make this first point. Do you see how the Fox News host is treating her? She's treating her, I would say, pretty well. And she's also, I think they're happy to have her on Fox News. A lot of people are like, she's a plant, she's not a plant. Go to the DSA website. Her name is on there. She is not a plant. This is their agenda. And a lot of people, I posted this. I posted on X and Threads and everything except Blue Sky, the 5-minute version. And then I broke it up into like a thread on Blue Sky. So you could see it. A lot of the pushback I got was like, why are you posting this? She's obviously a plant. She's not true. Did you do your research? Yes, I did my research. Did you go onto their website? This woman is real. And honestly, take it to the DSA. If you have a problem with this platform and you're a DSA supporter, that's not on me. I am not supporting the DSA. I think they are a problem for our party. It's when they're speaking like this. Get the platform together and then come back. Because I think that, people that have a problem with this platform, I think people think, oh, Mamdami's DSA, he's great. That may be true, but you have to look deeper here. So you can love Mamdami, but it's okay to have a problem with this platform and what they're coming out with. I think this was a disaster. And I think it's really bad.
It was planned. It's like this was a plan. Like this is what they wanted to do.
I think they want to damage the party. They
exactly. I do, because I think that they believe in these ideals that they think are worthy. Like I don't think that these are like malicious people that have come in and are like being paid by foreign operatives. Okay, like I'm not going to put that tinfoil hat on.
No,
I'm sure that there are some bots that are out there, but I'm saying these people, I think, have a vision that they believe in. The problem is that they've both tied Democrats and socialism to it. And so that this is the concern that we have, is that people are now associating it that in the same way that people misconstrue, communism, right? And I think that's the concern that I have here, is that is why it's using, it's taking ideology. And this is gonna people listen.
I just don't think they really thought.
I don't think level. And you want.
I don't know. Maybe
I don't think they thought this through, honestly.
Because if you really think about this, they're talking about abolishing police in prisons, but then they're saying prosecute U.S. and
I was
Israeli
just going to say that. I saw a post where they were like,
"Where are you putting
abolish ICE, arrest?" Yeah.
There's like a lot of
close the prisons, arrest the cops.
Do they mean like in an international court?
And then
I thought they assumed they meant international court. Is that not what that means? Chris Quinn, do you know? I assume that's what that meant.
They don't have authority over international courts.
No, I know, but
this feels very similar to what happened with Occupy Wall Street, where there is this groundswell of animosity towards a system. but then no real defined plan of what to do to make it better. So I look at this list and I can interpret some of them in a way that I would agree with, but not in the manner that she presented them. And I will fully
themselves.
Yeah.
I will fully admit I am not.
If you look at this where it says tax the wealthy, okay, I think a lot of us that makes sense. To expand public ownership, so that's like communism, I guess. I mean, what is this? What does that even mean?
I thought that meant like parks and stuff. Does that not what that meant?
No, I would say that would be like corporations, but in specific settings.
Takeovers of corporations.
So for instance, something like an Amtrak, the idea of something like an Amtrak is that it is a public good that should be owned by the government because it should serve as a public service, not as a for-profit institution.
Yes. Right.
So you could make that argument for electric. You could make that argument for cable at this point, for internet, right? So again, there are ways to go about this. The very first one, eliminate the U.S. Senate. The answer should have started with the Senate was created to give power to slave states.
Yes.
And that is an antiquated.
You know what I don't see here is eliminate the Electoral College.
Yeah.
Like that's
I
something
don't see that.
I'd have that conversation all day long. Now we know, like most of us that know our shit know that that's a change of the Constitution. So it's not just a matter of people coming in there, oh, let's change Electoral College.
But I mean, if you're gonna go with abolish police, like why not make Electoral College? Right? Like go for all of it.
I don't know her background, and I would be interested in looking into her background. I'm also not familiar with the structure of the DSA as a whole in terms of its adherence to a unified platform of the people that are in it. You can look at the Democratic platform that has been laid out in many years, and you individually don't agree with some of the planks of that platform. So as you say, you can like Mamdani, but not like this platform. That is true of many Democrats and the Democratic platform, many Republicans and the Republican platform. But I think the key element here is that she is not presenting herself as a qualified spokesperson for this.
And that is not your problem or my problem. That is the DSA's problem. If folks have a problem with her speaking for her own faction of the DSA, take it up with them. She's the co-chair. I think she should know something about their platform and their messaging. That's on them. Let's listen to the shorter second part of this interview.
Borders is part of a longer-term international plan that involves us stopping destabilizing countries. Most people who are coming to this country are coming as economic refugees, and we destabilized their country. We did that.
Well, a lot of, if you look at data, the Center for Immigration Studies says right now the households here in the U.S. that are headed up by people who are here illegally, nearly 61% of them are on some type of government or welfare program here in the U.S. Can we afford to do that? I mean, at some point you run out of resources.
Well, right now we make it very difficult for people to participate in society in such a way that they can avoid using services. So we want people to be able to work and live and go to school and actually participate, which means contributing to society and also getting what they need from society. It's a collective choice we can all make.
So if we talk about abolishing prisons, then does that make society better? I mean, is there anybody that should be incarcerated? I mean, rapists, child predators, murderers?
Yeah, so the long-term plan, when we think about most people who are in prison, they are mostly in prison for crimes of poverty. But that's not what
I'm talking about. I'm talking about the really,
I
the
hear you.
and
So
rapists of the world.
So when we get rid of this need for crimes of poverty to exist, when we get rid of that destabilizing force that creates so many people who are living in desperate situations and doing desperate things, That brings those numbers down to very small numbers, and then we can collectively decide what we do with those people. I suspect it won't look like the prison system as we know it today.
Okay, but you do think some people need to be locked away from society?
Some people are not able to be functional members of society. That's true. But what does that look like to keep the rest of us safe? You know, we're talking about safety. We're not talking about punishment. We're talking about making sure that we're safe, everybody's safe, everybody maintains their dignity, and everybody maintains their humanity.
Here's what I think. I think that anybody that's going to lead a political movement should have to teach at least 2 semesters of high school government. I'm not kidding. You should all be forced to teach that, and I will tell you why. Because the average person has less knowledge than a high school student because they're there and they've been taught, like even 8th grade, you learn some American history. You learn American history again in 11th grade, right? They've been seasoned to know at least some things, and the average person has forgotten all that. And then you learn how to talk to people who still don't understand how to get from point A to point B in politics. So even if I agree with some of her sentiments, right? I agree that most crimes are committed out of poverty, 100%. But the way that this is being framed, like you know that people are gonna call you crazy. Like you know that people are gonna look at this and be like, oh, they're those crazy woke people, those liberals, like trying to ruin this country and there's no law and order, right? Like you know that they're just gonna they're gonna snatch these talking points up and use them against the Democrats. It's irresponsible. It's irresponsible messaging, okay? And that's my concern, is that I feel as though while I agree that there's a lot that I want to tear down and rebuild in terms of what this administration has done, in terms of what like we have been fighting for protections of healthcare and housing and all these things for people. This is just if you've taught people, if you've worked with people, you know that this is not going to be well received. So why are you doing that right now, babe? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to pay attention to this. I just don't think all the DSA candidates are the same.
Yes.
I don't even know if they know the platform that they're building on. I think more of these candidates should be questioned about this platform. They should have to speak to it. Because I think they're riding on the fact that we want fighters. I think they're riding on the fact that they are good at social media, which is a good thing. Like a lot of people can learn from that. A lot of our candidates can learn from that, and they're just bad at social media. I have my own problems with the far left. I'm a progressive, and I would not be part of the DSA. I would not be a member of that shit. I also think a lot of the far left are anti-Black, and there's anti-Semitism there. Y'all can argue with me all day. I see it.
I see it all day long. Yeah,
I see it. I'm not going to argue with you.
Yeah,
I know that's true.
I meant more of our viewers. So y'all can at me, whatever. I do not care. Go ahead and at me. It's really, so this is why
me, I'll fight you.
Yeah, people are like, what do you have against the DSA, Mondami? But I'm not against him. I just have problems with a lot of the far left rhetoric I'm seeing, and I do not respond. I'm not down with this DSA platform at all, and I think it's harmful to the party. So we'll move on to Midterm Madness. We are 96 days out. So I was saying to Casey before, when somebody says November, I'm thinking, we got a lot of time. When you start saying 96 days, somehow that seems pretty damn close. So we are going to be talking about this regularly. We'll probably do it on most of our lives, have a segment about Midterm Madness, like what's going on at the midterms. We are, tonight, there's more content here because this week was 100 days. A lot of the news segments, social media posts were about the Senate. I think the prevailing thought is that we're going to be okay in the House, but we have a real shot in the Senate, which we did not feel we had a year ago. So let's set this up with a video, and we have some feel good stuff in here too. Oh, actually, hold on. I want to start with. Do I have this shit? You know what? I didn't load. Somebody talk for a second because there's some breaking news that we gotta.
I'm happy to talk about this. So we are going to definitely be covering. I want to clarify. We're going to cover midterms more thoroughly as we get closer. And I'll just say this because we talked about it earlier today. We're going to have a couple different lives that are on different days at different times to try to capture some different people's, like a weekend live, to cover things like, you know, how to get involved in local elections, how to get people registered to vote, how to do all that stuff, how to stay protected. And then also one about some of the races that are more strategic that need help amplifying those messages, like as another one as well. So just so you know, that's coming down the pipeline.
Yeah. So breaking news today, Elon Musk is reviving his PAC to influence Senate races. So I've heard some different numbers. This one was published by Forbes, $120 million he's injecting to help GOP in the midterms, after saying he got a little too involved in politics. But this other post was, there's this issue that maybe he broke the law by paying voters, so that's an argument. But then where is this segment here? Dang it.
I mean, if you give a man $1 trillion, this is what he's going to do with it. He's just like throwing things into space and throwing money at
let's be
Senate races.
honest. He spent billions of dollars on Twitter
to influence
turn
the
it
2024
into
election.
a political tool. And it's approximated to be, $250 million that he likely, contributed to the general election. So that number is small to me. That's small.
So and how much did he get back in contracts, though? Like, how much did he make off of it?
Yeah.
In fact, he
So
just
this
got
is
another one today, I think.
This is negative that we're starting this way, but it was breaking news. I think the rest of what we're going to show you is more positive. Watch this little clip about Elon Musk, though.
Elon Musk about to make a massive investment to boost Republican turnout for the midterms. It's a big bet, and Axios is breaking this news just now. Musk's representatives are declining to say just how much Musk is planning to spend, but they told Axios the number is expected to be high. Now, obviously, Musk is the richest man in the world, so high could be absolutely anything. And just the only context we have is that he spent more than $250 million in the 2024 election.
All right, so that's that. We'll move on. Midterm Madness. Let's watch this. This kind of recaps what's going on with the midterms. And there's two clips.
Democratic Senate nominee Troy Jackson, the guy who raised about $2 million in just the 2 days after securing the party's nomination. A poll taken just before the nominating convention found Jackson favored over incumbent Republican Susan Collins by 3 points. Remember, Plattner was polling like 5 points behind before he dropped out. But this is the key. He has a +5 favorability rating in that matchup, outmatching Collins -18. Another seat that's currently looking surprisingly good for Democrats. In some ways, I think the surprise of the cycle is Georgia. I mean, a year or two ago, right, the idea that Jon Ossoff would cruise to re-election seemed ridiculous. If he was going to win, it was going to be an uphill battle and he was going to have to grind it out. But a recent survey of Georgia voters found Ossoff up by 9 points over his Republican opponent, Mike Collins. He is also outraising Collins by a ton. He pulled in $20 million in the second quarter. He's got $42 million in the bank. And compare that to Collins' campaign, raising just $2.1 million with about the same amount on hand. Now, remember, we live in the super PAC era, right? So there's a whole bunch of big money that can come pouring in from those super PACs and corporate interests and big wealthy billionaire donors. Ossoff has also been on message about Trump's corruption, as well as highlighting Collins' son-in-law, who has, quote, a history of amplifying white supremacist social media accounts and echoing anti-Semitic tropes online.
So what has Mike done for Georgian families and workers? People like you and me? A whole lot of nothing. From the grocery store to the gas pump, Mike has made life more expensive for all of us. He supported and voted to protect Trump's tariffs, fueling record inflation while cutting taxes for the ultra-rich. You see, Mike's not a working trucker. He's a man who wrote his daddy's name from business to Congress, a politician who voted to hike our health care costs and defund rural hospitals so he could take care of billionaires and himself, a lackey who's in lockstep with all of Trump's chaos.
Georgia's a state Trump carried in 2024, right? Swing state. Ossoff is running ads calling him a lackey, right? Who facilitates Trump's chaos. So you got the affordability, the ultra-rich, and Trump chaos. We're seeing that message everywhere. Again, even in states Trump carried. In Ohio, former Senator Sherrod Brown is trying to unseat Senator John Husted. A recent pair of polls show they're basically in a dead heat. Now, Brown has the benefit in this race of being a very known quantity in the state. Obviously, he served as senator in that state for 3 terms, and it's shaping up to be fairly favorable environment for Democrats, particularly as issues like inflation and data centers weigh down Republican incumbents, something that Brown highlighted in a recent ad.
He's been called the face of data centers in Ohio. Why? Because John Husted spent years aggressively recruiting data centers to the state, cutting sweetheart tax deals and fast-tracking approvals, while ordinary residents watch their electricity bills explode.
We are here with Ohio Senator John Husted. He has a lot of experience with something called data centers.
John Husted. Who's he really working for?
All right, so what you like to say about that?
Ohio is going to Ohio. So I'm very pleased that Maine has gone the way it seems like it's going, because when we did our breakdown of the different races, we were counting Maine out, and now it seems like we can count on Maine as an almost layup.
What about, so you think Sherrod Brown isn't going to win?
I think Ohio is Ohio, and I think it's
mean?
just my heart has been broken by Ohio too many times to put my faith in them for coming through. So I would prefer that the control of the Senate did not run through Ohio, and I'm hopeful that it won't have to. That will be a helpful pickup, not the one that is mandatory.
To watch a pickup the Democrats have to have if they're going to take back the Senate is, of course, North Carolina. That's where former Governor Roy Cooper is consistently polling ahead of Trump-backed Michael Whatley. And then there's Texas. Tallarico has raised $30 million in the second quarter. Back in 2018, when Beto O'Rourke built this fundraising juggernaut, he brought in a total of $80 million. He came up short of unseating Senator Cruz by 2 points. But it was the best electoral performance by a Texas Democrat in a generation. He got within spitting distance. But here's the thing. Throughout that race, which was the closest Democrats have come, Beto O'Rourke only led 1 poll in September of that year, and even then it was just by 2 points. Since Paxton won the Republican primary runoff in May, Tallarico has led in 3 polls, Paxton has led in 3, and one of them had them tied. That looks like a dead heat. Another factor working against O'Rourke was that Ted Cruz was an incumbent, as unpopular as Ted Cruz may be, was, still is. But Ken Paxton's even less popular. I mean, the polling bears this out. He is a genuinely toxic person. And while Tallarico has highlighted Paxton's failings, like most of the Democratic candidates, he is also hitting the affordability issue that's being felt across the country.
Too many Texans feel like they're drowning. The cost of groceries, gas, healthcare. I'm James Tallarico. In the State House, I brought both parties together to make life more affordable, capping the cost of insulin, cutting taxes for small businesses, and passing the largest property tax cut in Texas history. In the Senate, I'll take on corruption and keep fighting to lower your costs. I approve this message because it shouldn't be this hard to keep your head above water.
You're going to be a Democrat who's going to be the first statewide Democrat to win in Texas in 30 years. That's basically the campaign you got to run, right? That's the message. So after Texas, you got 2 more states to watch now. Alaska has a jungle primary on August 18th. It does seem in reach for a Democratic flip because Democrat Mary Peltola, who's won statewide in Alaska before, she was the lone member of Congress, is polling just 2 points behind incumbent Republican Dan Sullivan. The other race that is going to be a big one and make a big difference is Michigan. That's where Abdul El Sayed and Haley Stevens are the last 2 Democratic candidates standing. Whoever wins that primary will be the Democratic candidate to take on Republican Mike Rogers. Usually, midterms come down to a referendum on the president's party and how voters think things are going. And right now, there are just big majorities that are very unhappy with both.
Chris, are you muted?
I'm trying to understand if
I
it's
am
just my
muted. I am
volume.
muted.
Okay.
What I put on, I'm
I
so
was
sorry.
like, it's so quiet.
I forgot. So these were some polls that came out. I'll start it over. But they're very positive for Senate races. Now we know Georgia is not going to be a pickup; it's a must keep, right? So that's not a
Right.
pickup. But we cannot lose Georgia. John Ossoff, to me, I think most of us would agree, he's been killing it lately.
He's been spectacular.
So he's been great. So
He's been an amazing senator, honestly, for a very long time. Yeah, he's done a really great job as far as taking care of his constituents in so many ways. The bills he's been a part of,
yeah,
you know, the legislation he has passed that he's
the
participated
hearings,
in, yeah, that too. But I mean, he's really done the work for Georgians, so it's impressive.
Then we have Roy Cooper, which I think he's the number one flip that everyone's predicting. Like he's kind of a sure thing, but this poll reflects that. We'll see. Sherrod Brown, who he's ahead of his opponent. And again, this is polls, you know, it's not votes, so we'll see. But I think that's very positive. That's looking good for Ohio. Let's see what's the next one. Texas, I think, is next. Sorry, it's taking a little long here. No, Iowa. Josh Turek is even ahead here.
This is
4
Joni
points.
Ernst's seat, right? That's
What's
Joni
that?
Ernst's seat. Is that Joni
Yes.
Ernst's seat, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's an open seat.
Amazing.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Oh, I
It's
hate her.
probably the one I'm going to be watching the closest because it's just his story, Turek's story, is just amazing.
Yeah.
And
Let's so that was other news.
Knowing-
Obama endorsed him. People are saying it's his first endorsement of this cycle, but I know he was on the trail with Tellerico earlier, so I don't know if that counted as an endorsement. I was counting it as one, but anyway, watch this endorsement video and then a little bit of talk after.
Again. Who's got next?
I got it. You ready for me, Josh?
I'm ready.
Let's go. We playing horse or what?
We're playing Iowa.
I know a little something about winning Iowa.
All right, here we go.
We ready?
You know when it's in.
Come on, I'm not going to just give it away.
All right.
That thing is silky smooth.
Thousands of hours of practice.
You were the shooter?
4-time Paralympian, 2-time gold medalist.
Back-to-back gold medals.
Okay.
I told you, I'm not just going to give it away to you. You got to earn this.
Obama endorsed former Paralympian Josh Turek, who is running for Senate in Iowa. Turek is attempting to flip Iowa's open Senate seat, formerly held by Republican Joni Ernst. The fact that Democrats say we got to win Georgia in order to hold this, then they're going to pick up North Carolina, then they start looking at somewhere like Maine. Iowa's one of those maybe states, both because the president's numbers are not good there.
You know, I spent some time in Iowa in 2020 on the campaign, and what I have found is that Iowans are very open to hearing people out, and they're very open to assessing the landscape of what's going on in their lives and whether their lives have been improved by the people who serve them in office. And, you know, I think right now you see both a competitive governor's race and a competitive Senate race in Iowa because Donald Trump's toxic policies are making life a lot harder for Iowans, and especially the business community in Iowa that depends on things like cheap fertilizer to make agricultural products that have been skyrocketed from the Iran war.
And I also want to point out that I think Obama endorsed him. That was a pickup for Obama. He was a Democrat that won Iowa for the presidency. So
I want to remind everybody that the Midwest is not the same as the South, and that there are different voters. They look differently. And so sometimes it's like people get really discouraged because they're like, oh, a red state. Like, not all red states operate the same way. Not even in the South, but especially not when you're looking at a state like Iowa. So this is just, it absolutely is in contention for the Democrats. I think, and you know that I talk about this a lot, I think almost all of them are at this point, because this is how people are so upset right now with the authoritarian fascism, with the economy, with everything that's happening. If you're going to win a Senate seat in a red state, now is the time to do it. Right in the next couple of months now.
And, you know, since you brought up the South, we have gerrymandering there with Congress, with the House. But I think people need to we need to talk about the South more. We need to pay attention to it more, and we need
Yes.
to court Southerners. We need to, do all that, because that's going to be I don't want to talk about 2028 too much right now, but that is going to be I don't think we can win the White House without making major inroads in the South. This includes
you need to
black
make
voters, and this is why I also have a problem with the DSA, because they are putting black voters aside in many cases, and that is a huge mistake for our party if we follow that route.
You've got to make up for the lost ground. Like if what they did to farmers has not taught Democrats anything. I mean, like you have alienated a lot of people who could be very significant party loyalists and would benefit from your policies. So this idea, like, at least they're starting to show up. So this is the first thing we realized with this election, is that there aren't like open seats abound. Like, everybody's running for offices, which is a big deal, because believe it or not, I know it's crazy, but the idea that we just let Republicans have seats, like there was like no opponent, like they didn't want to fund that race, like, and that's part of the problem is the funding, right? So this is good that we are seeing that change, but like, to your point, all of these groups that benefit from Democratic policies, we need to speak to. We need to be in those communities and in those neighborhoods, talking to people, not speaking at them, talking with them, listening to them, and having those conversations.
And also brag on the policies. I think a lot Democrats have let Republicans define what Democrats are. They're doing it now again. Democrats are communists. Like, you don't have to be DSA to be branded a communist. They're going to brand all of our candidates communists. So like, we need to do better at defining our values, what our party is behind. It drives me crazy that we're not doing that, because, we're busy separating the parties. I admit I'm kind of putting DSA on a separation too for my own reasons. But we need to what are our common values as Democrats? And let's start there, because
folks need to look at, think about this for a minute. Black voters are literally the base of the Democratic Party, right? And then you've got the DSA who have been known to do their whole, we're not voting, protest nonsense.
Right.
So you're not. Who are you harming? Truly, I have a hard time with that.
Movement.
Whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Uncommitted
they do a lot of that.
movement.
I'm not voting. And to me, that's bullshit. It's absolutely bullshit.
I want to mention this about the uncommitted movement, because there's a candidate who was part of the uncommitted movement, and now he's saying, "Oh, I ended up endorsing Kamala Harris. I was a supporter." But see, what happens when y'all do this shit? The damage is done.
Irresponsible messaging.
You brought people into that movement. Not everybody just flips. Not everybody's just like, well, we're good with Kamala now. And y'all are part of why we have Trump. You don't have to agree, but I stand with that.
I mean,
honestly,
do have
if you
to
did
agree.
not vote,
They do have to agree,
was a
because that's
vote
what
for Trump.
happened.
And if you were part of this movement, boosting this uncommitted movement, telling folks, oh, don't vote or withhold your vote, what did you think was going to happen? You thought you would get your
These
way.
are the same folks back in 2016 who literally said to me, I remember knocking doors back in the day and being told, I don't know, I'm thinking of voting for Trump just because I want to see things, I just want to see him blow shit up. Right? I just want to see,
literally.
I just want to see him burn things down. Okay.
I just, again, would like to reiterate that if you have a platform, you have a responsibility. With great power comes great responsibility. And that extends to whether you have 5 followers or 5,000. Okay. If you are a mouthpiece on the internet, you do have a responsibility. But these people who have much larger audiences that follow them, these influencers, these people that are getting into politics, these leftist influencers, their messaging, they're responsible for that and how it does come across. And I know it's really tempting to just be like, oh, well, you don't have to follow what I say. But people do, and that. And so this is why I again say that everybody's entitled to believe what they want to believe, but the idea that words don't have power is silly, because that they do. And so just going forward, I would like to suggest that if you have some of these farther right or left positions, wherever you're at, making sure that you you from the beginning qualify where you are at in terms of voting in an election like a presidential election, right? You need to separate your primary beliefs from the like general election and be very intentional about that. And I think they got real cutesy with it on purpose. That was not an accident. That was intentional. And that should be discussed, or rather acknowledged, that was intentional.
Let's make the quick point of when we're talking about party right now. This is a poll. What's the date on here? I cannot see that, but it's a recent poll. If you talk about a lot of the issues,
17th through the 20th.
Okay, so it's within the past couple weeks.
So
this is the Democrats are way above Republicans as far as who would better handle your top issues. For some reason, Republicans are doing better on national security and crime, but whatever.
We deserve all the bad things. Like, I mean, when I see things like this, I'm just like, because how are you gonna look at a man that started a war with another country and be like, you know what? I feel like he'd be better at national security. What are you talking about? Have you seen Pete Hegseth? That's absurd.
Exactly. God. All right. What else we have here?
Also, by the way, on the crime front, that's because again, you let Republicans fuck around with the abolish or defund the police messaging. You see, because you had a point there. Democrats had a point there, but they let Republicans take that narrative and run with it. And so now everybody thinks Democrats are just weak on crime and we don't care if people shoot each other. Like, which is crazy because we're the ones that want gun control and reform. So again, like I stress, stop giving Republicans the mic, stop letting them have the narrative, fight back. Like you said, go into these neighborhoods and you reclaim the narrative and the policy. I'm annoyed.
All right, so this isn't that great. This next thing I'm going to show you, we're going to follow up with something a little nicer. I'm just putting that out there because this has been a long time coming.
Great.
Watch this.
Reports the Democratic Party is so short on cash that leaders are asking vendors not to send bills until after the midterm elections. The paper spoke to 3 people briefed on the move, who called it a bookkeeping maneuver. The paper highlights a cash disparity between the two parties, noting that President Trump controls a $400 million super PAC. The Republican National Committee is sitting on nearly $130 million, while the DNC is $2 million in debt.
Yeah.
The news outlet Notice also has new reporting on the DNC putting its physical headquarters up for collateral last year in order to obtain a $15 million line of credit
this is just
to
so
help
pathetic.
invest in off-year elections.
This is so pathetic.
The New York Times also details the chaos inside the DNC, centered around Chairman Ken Martin. According to interviews with more than 24 Democrats, Martin has found himself increasingly isolated, gripped by fear that he will lose his job, and relying on a vanishingly small circle of people he trusts. The paper also reports that in a peak of frustration earlier this month, Martin threw his phone at the desk of a junior aide while upbraiding the person. The phone tossing incident resulted in a formal complaint to the DNC's HR department. None of the people the Times spoke to witnessed the encounter, and there was some dispute over how aggressively the phone was tossed.
See, that's the key. How aggressively was the phone tossed?
Are we really in the weeds this deep? As Mr. Martin was said to have thrown the phone at the desk rather than at the aide.
Okay.
Oh, my God.
I have another clip I want to show you guys. It's definitely much more positive. But, you know, everyone is so against PAC money. I get it. I'm against dark money. I think candidates have to take PAC. PACs are necessary right now. We are living under Citizens United. And when you think about the disparity between Republicans and Democrats in fundraising, Republicans are cleaning our clocks. So you want to, okay, it's one thing to talk about it in a primary. You're going into the general and you want to handicap your candidates against the Republicans. I just don't think that's good strategy. Now, there are some candidates that are doing very well in fundraising. James Tallarico is doing extremely well, but that is not the case everywhere. You have these smaller races.
It's not the case everywhere. And I think people are always, everyone's like, oh, grassroots. Well, guess what? A lot of the people
that's great
that these grassroots areas that needed the grassroots the most are the ones suffering the most from all
Yeah.
of Trump's policies right now.
So
They
just
don't
think about
have
that when
$10 to send
when
to
you're
a
dragging
senator,
candidates for their
senator's campaign.
coffers. Yeah, think about that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Do you guys have anything else to say about the DNC? Because should I go to the next clip?
What I would say would probably get me yelled at.
I will say very briefly that while I agree that there are issues and problems and we need like changing leadership and there's a lot of things that need to change, this idea that the Democrats can exist without a national like entity like that, right? I know there's more than just the one, but like that Republicans have that and more, right? And it's naive to think that we can exist as a major party without it. So if you would like to be a part of the rebuilding process, I think that's great. But we are going to have something at some point.
I want to make this point that I haven't heard anybody make. Maybe they have, but so Martin is our chairman of the DNC. There's things to say there, but Ben Wickler ran against him for the chair of the DNC and lost. I think the timing is very interesting. That I feel like Ben Wickler's book and the fact that he has a whole ass strategy for how to win is a fuck you to Ken Martin. Okay, we'll move on. So that's just my opinion. All right, we're going to talk about the DSCC on the other hand. This gave me so much joy when I saw it.
Democrats' chief fundraising committee has announced a $40 million Win the Senate campaign that targets 10 states. You can see them there on your map. According to Politico, the effort will invest in on-the-ground staff, new offices, and some voter outreach programs, perhaps not as much on ad buys.
Well, first, I have to say that, and the senator will probably chuckle at this as well, is that, oh, gee, the Democrats have found that we should do ground programs and we shouldn't just spend all the money on television. Like, that's a revolution. Thank you for building infrastructure. Once upon a time, we had a 50-state strategy. We actually built infrastructure, found that neighbor programs where people in their community actually touching and talking to each other was more effective than television advertising. Look, I think if you look at that map, part of this is key, right? Is Democrats' ability to expand. I think a year ago, most of us didn't think Democrats had a shot of taking back the Senate. I think Democrats have a shot of taking back the Senate now, and they're expanding that map to places like Texas and Alaska and even in Iowa and Ohio. And you know why? Again, it starts where we started. Trump, right? Trump's job approval is underwater in Iowa. His job approval is underwater in Ohio. And what we've seen historically is that the vast majority of voters who disapprove of the president, whether it's Democrat or Republican, the vast majority of voters who disapprove of the president, they vote against the president's party. So I think Trump is actually helping his ability to to loosen up and make sort of pathways for Democrats in some of these states that I think would be a lot tougher if Donald Trump had a 55, 56% job approval.
So we bring up the map again. We can see a few states here that a few months ago would have seemed pretty improbable. I mentioned Alaska already, but look, Iowa, Ohio. These are states that have used to be pure battlegrounds, but in recent cycles have trended definitively red. And then, of course, there's Texas, the white whale for Democrats who have come so close so often. There is a new poll, though, that's giving some Democrats some hype and some hope with James Tallarico up 5 over Ken Paxton. We should note, though, that 5 points within the margin of error. It is a Democratic leaning firm. So I think what we could safely say is that it's anybody's ball game.
So I thought that was awesome. This is something that needed to happen ages ago. The fact that the so just so everybody knows, the DSCC is the fundraising arm of the Senate. That's their primary purpose. But the fact that they're going out to states and helping fund these candidates is a big deal, and it's good. And they are obviously not broke. So they're doing something right. So I will give props to Schumer because this is how I feel about him.
I'm not going to give any props to Schumer, but I am going to just say as a whole, their social media is a little bit better. It's still not amazing, but it's better. Like the House, they are just limping through on Threads. But like, I'm just saying, I see a lot coming out of the Senate, a lot of fight coming out of the Senate, and that I don't necessarily see as much like as an entity, right? Like I have a little bit more, I don't know. They're just kind of like more like grown-ups. I don't know how to explain it. There's a lot of improvement that can still be had. I do see the strides that they're trying to make. And honestly, this is the time if you're going to make some gains right now, just on the basis of how much Trump is hated, you could do that now. You can't always do that, as we've seen in previous elections where Democrats lost. You can't just run on, oh, my opponent sucks. That doesn't normally work. But he is so pathological, he is so problematic that it actually can work. This time it probably can.
I think
the alternative can
I
work.
think right now a lot of these districts are in play because of Trump. Like you know, they especially purple and then lean red districts are something that you can really work on right now.
This won't work for much longer, is what I'm saying. So,
Right.
like, you could maybe get another cycle out of this.
What have you done for me lately? What's your message?
Right. You could maybe get a 2028 of it, but you can't. This can't be forever. So, I just prefacing that I acknowledge that. But yes, like, run on that now.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to bring everyone's attention to an issue in a particular state, and this could actually be a CTA if we want. Casey and I have talked about this a few times, Michelle too. When people are promoting candidates, they're usually very positive. There's, graphics, memes, whatever, like, oh, this candidate is great. This candidate is, this is their platform. They have a lot of information packed in. The other side of that is opposition. And I know for one, Casey's mentioned it too, I feel all day long, I'll go after Ken Paxton. And I just want everyone to remember, you can do that too. You can, if you see people talking about Republicans, the opponents, boost their messaging, put out your own posts. This is also helpful. And I think people forget that, like, oh, I just need to talk about the good things about the candidate that I'm supporting. You can do that. That's great. And they much appreciate it. I can tell you right now, those campaigns also help. They also appreciate if you're going after their opponents.
And let me tell you, do not underestimate the catharsis of a good opposition campaign. I'm telling you right now, a lot of y'all have the fury of God inside you right now, and I know you do. And when you go talk about Ken Paxton, a lot of that's going to release when you do that. Like, it's going to help your nervous system. So
go
saying,
Google Ken Paxton and just try to pick one thing.
Just
one thing. And
so this
see
was my
if you
setup.
can even do one thing, because there's like so many awful things.
So many to pick from.
So many.
So I want to show this video because I want you guys to pay attention to Arizona, all of our viewers. There's something problematic happening there again, and it seems kind of throughout.
Primaries just this week, Arizona Republicans nominated a slate of election deniers, not one, two, but three different offices that will oversee the state's vote in 2028. In the Republican primary for Attorney General, State Senate President Warren Peterson advanced. This guy gave a lot of oxygen to Trump's election lies back in 2020. You could also look at Arizona's Secretary of State race. Alexander Kolodin, a state representative. This guy's an attorney who was deeply involved in trying to overturn Trump's loss in Arizona. He won that Republican primary. And MS Now notes that he is one of the most prominent election deniers on any statewide general election ballot in the whole country this year. And right at the top, there he is, Congressman Andy Biggs, Trump ally extraordinaire. You want a contested race for governor.
Flaming racist. I'll just say it. All right. So just keep your eye on Arizona. If you can help fight those candidates, boost your Democrats, but also put out this information. Andy Biggs, for one, it's not hard to find what his problems are. So put this shit out there. And
I'm saying this is the benefit of a lot of Trump's allies, like the people he's endorsed have won the primaries, like as is Ken Paxton, right? And that is a much harder seat for Republicans to win now, right? And so what we're seeing is a lot of people in, not just like in the Senate, but the House, wherever, like the people that Trump endorsed that are winning are like way less likable. And so the Democrats have a much bigger chance at winning those seats over. because these are like MAGA people. They're not like, Republicans, they're MAGA. And that's a problem for Republicans, not us. That's great.
Yeah. All right. So we are closing out here. Let's one more thing. All right. So we have
one more thing.
Yeah, this is our one more
By
thing.
the way.
By the way.
Just so you know.
So we had the AG hearings this week, and this happened today. Is this not? Oh, damn it. I pressed it wrong. Okay, here we go.
From North Carolina and Senator John Cornyn, the Texas Republican. Both of them have raised a lot of concerns about the DOJ setting up this anti-weaponization fund totaling $1.7 billion. They and other lawmakers have raised concerns that that money could be given out to people like people charged in connection to January 6th.
Whether it's the White House or somebody works there or somebody works for the president is basically telling them don't agree to those terms, and so we're kind of back to square one. This is about making sure that that even if you're the president of the United States, you don't get favorable terms from the government in a settlement of a lawsuit that ordinary citizens would not get.
The nomination for Todd Blanche might literally come down to whether or not Senators Cornyn and Tillis get that written assurance.
So I don't know what y'all think. I think this is over until after the midterms. I think Trump, because Trump did say today that he's willing to withdraw his nomination. And I think that's for one reason. This slush fund Trump does not intend to get rid of that. He wants to keep that. And the other thing is the Epstein files. So he wants someone in place that is a guaranteed cover up guy for his Epstein files, and he also wants this slush fund. And the bigger thing about this bill or whatever it is, the slush fund's tied to immunity for Trump and his family for tax evasion, tax fraud, whatever. So there's a lot there. I know Cornyn is talking about mainly the slush fund, but I think we have to also remember the immunity part of it for the Trump.
He did bring that up. I watched him. I can't remember what show it was on, but it came up and he said that no president, he actually said no president should have immunity from being audited by the IRS.
The trouble
I
is,
think Trump is trying to wait till Cornyn is gone.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Oh, absolutely.
He's not like, what about it when we control the Senate? Like, let's hope that happens. So I don't know. I'm kind of bullish.
It's very low stakes though, because he can stay as acting attorney general indefinitely, and has all the power of an attorney general.
And by the way, that's something we should be looking to fix. So these are the kinds of things that we need to have in note for when Democrats do have control.
So when Democrats take over, you will have hearings and investigations
You guys,
with actual
the Senate
teeth,
right
not
now
with-
has the Republicans have the ability right now to remove him. So why are we even talking about? You know what I mean? Like, why are
they're not going to?
And there's 100 awful things that he's done to help Trump, and I find it weird that those are the two things. That one thing specifically would
because this
is
the corrupt spot
like there's so many things. There's
Don't
so
let
many
one.
reasons. Like, and you're willing to just bend on those two things.
But
he should
let
not
me-
be even considered. Period.
Let me just
Those are the
say
things in the news, though. Those are the big.
The thing about this that should give everybody heart is that they have, like, how do you solve a problem like Congress? They haven't figured it out yet. Like, they know that the only way around Congress is by passing things like the SAVE Act and voter suppression and all those things, right? And so if you elect enough Democrats, if you send enough messages to Republicans that we will absolutely oust you, even in a red state, then what it sends to the other Republicans that are left, that are up for a re-election 2 years later, because only a third of the Senate is up for re-election every 2 years. What it sends the message to them is like, you're not safe, that no one is, and that we're not going to allow this kind of corruption. And they will start doing what John Cornyn is doing. They will start stepping out and saying, all right, well, F this, I'm not going to support this anymore. And they won't go down with that sinking ship. Now, not all of them. Some of them will absolutely still go down with the ship. They will stay MAGA until the end. But not all of them. And so this is really, really important for those of you that are in red states to remember that you have leverage this way by if you oust somebody, then a senator in another state may go, Like, you know, Texas has a Democratic senator. What? Like, we're in trouble. That's great for us. So I think the Trump administration is still, that's like the one entity that troubles them, and that's why they're working so hard to try to find ways around it, because they know that that's still their kryptonite or whatever.
All right. All right. Well, we've reached the best of the week, the best of the worst, or whatever. This is a fun part. And you know what, Michelle, you go first because I have your content ready. So that's why I load the other.
Wait, which one are we doing? Yes,
that's the one you picked.
I chose that because this gave me hope. This is Obama's endorsement. And
I don't know. Did you want to share the entire video?
Well, I mean, we can, but
okay.
To
so
me,
do your thing.
Yeah. So, to me, one of the things, my takeaway from this, I thought was really poignant, because we currently have an administration right now that is taking away rights, trying to take away the rights of disabled folks. They're trying to take away Medicare, Medicaid, so many awful things, special ed programs, all of it. So to see one of my favorite guys get on the basketball court with this Olympia, it was just chef's kiss. I was just like, this is amazing. And I think this man, Turk's story is incredible. And I think he really genuinely has a chance at winning. And so you just have, when you just have,
feel that way
for
too,
those of us
Michelle.
who've been doing politics for a while, is that occasionally you get a candidate that you are just like, oh my God, I just really like this person. And I hope, you just know they're genuine.
And just the
and you know they
representation.
want, and you
The
know that they
representation,
want
it matters.
that. They want to be of service. And for some
And we
reason,
need people like that for the same reason why we need Black people in leadership, right? Like, we need marginalized people in that, because then they are representative of other interests than just the white guy, right? Like, so this is like helpful, because like we need more people like that, because they bring really important things to the table. They bring important conversations and policy points that we wouldn't have otherwise. So this is the diversity that the Democrats should be like spreading from the rooftop, because diversity makes us stronger. It makes us better. We all benefit from it. Like, this DEI should not be a bad word. It should be something that people recognize as beneficial to all of us. And so when we see a candidate like this, like, I go, hell yeah. Like, I get really excited about it, because I want people not to look like me. Like, I want diversity.
I think I also love that video because it's so out of the box, that endorsement video. It's just outside. Honestly. And this is like Obama's, happy space, the basketball court. Yeah. And I will say this too. I live in LA, and I'm not in the flight path, but whenever Obama was in town, when he was president, Marine One and the other two would fly over our house, and our entire house would shake. During that visit, not every time, but during that visit, there's a park, Cheviot Hills Park, and they would shut it down. Pretty much. I mean, you could still go in there, but you couldn't use the basketball facilities. And he would be there. George Clooney would be there. I know that because my kids would go and play at Cheviot Hills Park. So that is Obama's happy space. At his new library, there's basketball facilities there.
Yeah,
I love that.
So I encourage everyone, you guys, to watch the whole ad though, because it's really got a cute little ending. So I don't want to spoil it for people, but the ending's really cute.
Who wants to go? Chris, you want to go next?
Sure.
Okay, I will. Where is your video here? I'm so sorry. Okay, let's video first, or you want to talk first?
I'll talk. So mine is Dr. Fauci, but my clip is from 2008, and it's George W. Bush giving him the Presidential Medal of Freedom. And at the time, that was given for his work on the AIDS epidemic. And we touched on that a little bit earlier, but it's pretty personal to me. My uncle was a Broadway actor. He served as president of Actors Equity, which is the union for all stage actors in the nation. And he was when he was on Equity Council in the early 80s, He was one of the founding members of Equity Fights AIDS, which then merged with Broadway Cares and now still works on AIDS, but also on general issues with healthcare and those in the theater community. He spoke very much about how he lost an entire generation of friends, that there was just an entire generation in the theater community that was taken out by AIDS. And the fact that Anthony Fauci was on the front lines of pushing for AIDS research and a cure, which we now basically have essentially. Yeah. It is that which he had an entire career by 2008 that would have been lauded, and the fact that he stayed on and did all he did through COVID again marks what a tragedy it is that Senate hearing happened the way it did. But the good thing about it is that social media has been flooded with people sharing their stories of appreciation for Tony Fauci, about their stories during COVID. And as a political stunt, it supremely backfired.
Yes, it did.
For Rand Paul, that now everyone is reliving the trauma of the pandemic and sharing their stories of everything that Trump did to exacerbate the problem, and giving Tony Fauci his flowers for what he did to save lives.
All right, well, let's watch the video, and let me change the format here. Okay.
Decades ago, a mysterious and terrifying plague began to take the lives of people across the world. Before this malady even had a name, it had a fierce opponent in Dr. Anthony Fauci. As the director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases for more than 23 years, Tony Fauci has led the fight against HIV and AIDS. He was also leading architect and champion of the Emergency Plan for AIDS Relief, which over the past 5 years has reached millions of people, preventing HIV infections in infants and easing suffering and bringing dying communities back to life. Those who know Tony do admit one flaw. Sometimes he forgets to stop working. He regularly puts in 80-hour weeks. For his determined and aggressive efforts to help others live longer and healthier lives, I'm proud to award the Presidential Medal of Freedom to Dr. Anthony S. Fauci.
That's a great bit of history and a really timely reminder, for sure. Yeah,
I appreciate you sharing that story, Chris.
Yeah,
100%. My stepbrother was, going through it in the 80s, and his friends lost a lot of friends, and they were friends. They became family, and so I feel that. So I appreciate you bringing that one up.
All right, Casey, you wanna go?
Sure.
I'll play your video because there's no sound, right? So
there's no sound. There shouldn't be. And thank you, Chris, for also sharing that, because I feel like, I want to punch something a lot after watching the negative Fauci stuff. So, I would just like to share that Shark Week is like one of my favorite weeks of the year. And so it is the week that I become a suburban white mom, Pinterest mom, and do all the Shark Week things. But also I was really excited because Ken Jeong was the host this year. And I think he's really funny. And he's also a doctor. So there's that. And anyway, like anytime we have like some departure from the darkness here, it's nice. And my kids are like pretty into it, mostly for the food, I gotta be honest. But it's like I'm trying to indoctrinate them with the shark knowledge, and we'll see if someday they take over in my footsteps. I don't know if it's because I grew up in Florida or because I watched Jaws at a young, impressionable age and it ruined me for the ocean. I don't know. But anyway, like it's on right now. And if you have Discovery Plus or I think HBO Max or YouTube TV, you can stream the episodes and watch them and learn about sharks.
That's cool. Yeah, I'm not into Shark Week. I'll be honest. That is not. Casey told me about this, I think last week. I was like, oh, okay.
So
the white culture.
Very cool.
I have a confession to make. So when I was like probably 3rd through 6th grade, I would say a little bit of the tism. I was obsessed with sharks. Like I made them out of clay. I would give gifts to the teachers. Like I would I would draw them. I just thought they were I'd do reports. I remember teachers telling me, you've already done this report.
My 4th grade
no, but I made
was
it better.
I did the letters with shark's teeth. Like I remember it. Like I made my parents keep it forever. It's definitely an autism thing. You don't have to have autism to like sharks, but like that in dinosaurs.
Yeah,
I'm
but for me it was
like,
obsessive, and my mom, I remember, took me to go see Jaws, and it destroyed me because I was like, "What do you mean? Yeah, what do you mean? This is what they have the ability to do."
I saw it, and then I read it. I read it after I saw. Like for some reason,
hardcore.
I hadn't done enough trauma. I then read it later. Like I don't know what was wrong with me. Anyway, but so I'm not done with it this week yet. There's still more to come. So I don't have a lot of like the pictures. Also, I forgot to take pictures of the actual decorations, but I put up decorations in my house, and we had like blow up.
So the ones, the cookies and stuff that you shared, are those the ones that you've done? Did you do those?
Yeah, that's what I've done so far. Yeah.
Oh my goodness! I didn't realize you're the one who made them. Those are awesome.
Oh yeah. I finally broke down and bought the platter, and even my husband was like, "All right, that's pretty cool." Like he was like fine with that. Like it's been like a year. I sat on that for like a whole year. I was like, I really like it. I want it. And anyway, so I needed a break from politics for like a minute.
I think that's what it is right there too. Like we need other outlets from all this nightmarish shit we're experiencing.
Yeah.
All right,
I'm doing container gardening right now, so yay!
I love that's smart though. You got to come on here and teach us because
although I
wish
wish I would have had some foresight because I would have actually planted lettuce. I did not plant lettuce this year. So
Michelle, don't feel bad. We have a hydroponic garden that I'm staring at right now that is completely empty. So
I can't believe you still haven't done that. I thought for sure after you told me that it was sitting there that you were going to be motivated to start.
Hey, listen, it belongs to my wife. I bought it for her for I don't remember Christmas or something. So I don't know. We have to buy the little thingies. I don't know. It's ready. I mean, it's ready to be used.
Clearly, she has a green thumb because, like, I look behind you and you always have like
that's
beautiful,
me.
lush garden.
That's my. I'm the.
He's like,
I'm
wait.
I'm the one with the green thumb. My daughter and wife will buy plants, and they think that's all you have to do. They'll plant them, and I'm like, y'all gotta water that stuff. Or I'm talking about the outside. Like she would love an outdoor garden. But I'm like, no, that means I'm taking care of it. I don't volunteer for that. No. So
my husband has saved 2 snake plants, and I have still managed to kill 2 more. And that's, if you're wondering how things are going for me in authoritarian fascism, I just killed my 2nd snake plant. So thanks for that.
So yeah, I have, those are pretty indestructible. And I have to say, I have 2 that I've had for like a lot of years that are not doing that well all of a sudden. So, and I'm not real sentimental on plants. Like if you're not,
but those,
what you need to do, you go to the green waste and we start over. This plant right here, I don't know if you can see it. It's
dead. I can see it.
It's dead. So she's getting replaced soon. I just haven't had a chance. All right, so I will do my best of the week. I'm not going to say a lot about it. I'm just going to, it speaks for itself, except I will say this. I saw this. I died laughing to the point where I've been sharing it with people. I got up and I was like, went to my wife, you got to watch this video. She was laughing. This is what I loved about this is something really kind of like, if it's a DM room on Facebook. And if you stumbled onto it, you might be like, what the fuck? But watch this video.
There's a white and proud Facebook group. Is currently being taken over by black people. Somehow we found the group and now people are mad because all the white people are like, why are there so many black people? So we're gonna start with this bad boy. They said the blacks have infiltrated this group. We can't have shit. And somebody said first time getting caught. Which then, of course, black man follows up with this post. And then, of course, we get this post where somebody's like, if you aren't white, you need to leave this group. Don't y'all know how to read or whatever? And then this white lady, Mandy, our ally, said, I invited them.
I love that part.
Then we got some more responses. We just invading spaces that nobody wants us at. Sound familiar? We got this. And then wait, I forgot the best part. They realized they were being infiltrated, so they made it to where you have to fill out a form in order to join the group. These are the questions. Are you white? Are you proud of your heritage? Are you proud of your culture? And then keep it white, dark-skinned individuals. Please make your own page. Please leave. Can't you do anything yourself?
Oh my God.
Wait, I don't think I had to fill that out.
And I love us for it.
I mean, I love that this happened. And I had posted this, when I saw it. And I had a lot of followers that were saying, I'm going to that group. I'm going to go check it out. And they were able to get in that group. I don't know if they filled out the form. I guess they did. I don't know.
I'm in it, but I don't understand because I don't think I had to fill out a form. I want to fill out that form.
You maybe were there pre-form. You were maybe one of the early birds.
No, because she had already. No, this video came out because you told me about them. I was late.
Maybe the form
I
went
didn't
away.
know about
I don't know.
it.
But several other people have posted their version of this. They're all funny. I love
They're
it.
so funny.
That gave me so much joy.
It's so funny. I go in there and try to like and repost, the content from the black people. Like that's what, I even made a post. I was like, did y'all know about this? And I was like, someone, please God, let me
But
in.
I love that
white
lady
and
was
proud
like,
group.
I invited them. What?
First time being colonized. That's so good.
Well, y'all,
I can't believe I forgot about that. That is the best. That's so good.
Yeah,
I need to join, Casey.
It's very rare when you see a video that you're just
I'll invite you.
laughing. And I was literally running around showing it to people. I was like, you got to see this. It's so funny. So,
That's
and her name
so
is
funny.
Morgan. She's on TikTok. She's got great takes, very political takes. Or at least those are the ones I see.
Follow her.
She's also on Threads. I don't know if she's on Blue Sky or X, but she's on Threads. And she's also on Instagram. And I should have put her handle in here, and I don't know what her handle is off the hand. But her name is Morgan. Check her out. She's a great creator.
That's
all right, y'all. What's that?
That's so worth a follow. Like,
yeah.
That's like a star. I want you on my
when
timeline every day.
I ran
Yeah.
to Facebook so fast.
I love it.
Not because I was like, I gotta help them kick these people out, and then I was like, we could do this with all the groups, and I got really excited.
I never thought of it before. I think this is something. This is like they led the way. All right, you guys.
There's a way to do it with Facebook groups. Just by the way, if anybody's an admin, I used to be one. There's absolutely a way.
I know nothing about Facebook.
Yeah,
I have an account, and I'm starting to question if I should. But anyway,
we'll chat about that later.
All right, you guys. We've been over 3 hours. Love y'all.
Oh my God.
I love thank you for all the great comments tonight.
This is so
great
good.
reading them, so good. Yeah, and
So much going
have
on.
a great night.
Yeah.
Happy Friday for half the country. It's already
Friday.
Bye.
Have a great weekend,
We'll see you next
everybody.
Thursday at 10 Eastern, 7 Pacific. Thanks,
Stay
everyone.
Windsy.
Bye.
Yeah.
Bye.